Jim McMahon out for the season, shoulder surgery. Tom Zach will open, but we are also going to see a lot of this young man, Doug Flutie, we are told by head coach Mike Ditka. He played did against Tampa Bay. He did really well. He threw the ball well, and he ran the ball well. But more than that, he seemed to take charge of this team, and we know all about Flutie's collegiate credentials. He is perhaps the quarterback that will take the Bears into the playoffs, and Mike Ditka would like to do that. He would like to have a quarterback for the playoffs, or one quarterback. But Al Michaels and I talked with him today, and I don't think he cares much about quarterbacks. Al, he's used 7 over the last 4 years, and I don't think he really cares whether he has one or not.
I think the only thing Ditka cares about is taking a healthy defensive unit into the playoffs. The Bears seem to win every game by a score of about 13-10. Mike Ditka, who has taken this team to a 12-2 mark this season, and as far as the playoffs are concerned, the AFC is very complicated. We'll deal with that later. The NFC is relatively simple because we do know the 5 teams that will represent the NFC in the playoffs. And of course, you have the New York Giants at 13-2, and the Bears would have an identical mark with a victory tonight. Washington has clinched a wild card berth, and also they will be the host team for a wild card game the last weekend in December. Now, the Rams and the 49ers are also in the playoffs, and we will have the Rams against San Francisco, a Friday special for you at 8 Eastern Time and 5 Pacific. The winner of that game will get the following week off, and the loser is a wild card and will go to Washington. So the playoff picture is fairly well settled in the NFC, and again later on we will deal with the AFC, where only 3 teams have clinched playoff berths, and 6 teams are in contention for the 2 other spots. Meanwhile, the Bears against the Lions. In Detroit, where outside the temperature is about 35 degrees and inside it's warm, a sellout crowd. The blackout has been lifted, and Butler kicks off with a good kick taken at the 2-yard line, and coming back to the 10 and stumbling and hit down at the 12 is Herman Hunter. And here comes Long. Chuck Long spent 5 years at the University of Iowa. He could have opted for the draft in '85, instead decided to stay in school one more season and led the Hawkeyes into the Rose Bowl. Gary James is a good-looking rookie out of LSU. Jones is the veteran fullback. Chadwick is their top wide receiver. And the guys up front, Dorney has moved from tackle to guard and is doing his usual good job. And Lomas Brown, the left tackle, has had a good year. And so the crowd very much into it with a new quarterback and new hope for this 5-9 team on 1st and 10 from the 13, and they'll go right to the air. Under some pressure, going deep, slightly underthrown and batted away. Jeff Chadwick was open momentarily, but was double covered, and Vestee Jackson got a hand on it.
Al, it was just 5 years ago that we watched a quarterback come on named Hipple, Eric Hipple. The first play of the game in his first start was just like this to Leonard Thompson, only it was complete. That was against the Chicago Bears. Hipple, with his first start, went on to have almost 400 yards passing. He threw for 4 touchdowns, ran for 2. We might be expecting a little too much for that to happen with Chuck Long. Different Bear team altogether.
Crowd watching the replay wanted a flag. 2nd down, 10. Lions from their own 13-yard line. Against a Bear defense, the stingiest in the league. Carl Bland goes in motion, and a good hole for James, who takes it out to the 24-yard line. And that's a 1st down. The guys up front, Hampton, McMichael, Perry, and Dent, the great linebackers. Wilson is back after his 1-game suspension for forearming Lewis Lips. Marshall scored a TD in the last game against Detroit. And the secondary, Richardson and Jackson, and then Dewerson and Fensick are the safeties.
In that first game, the Detroit Lions played the Bears tough. They lost 13-7, but also in that first game, Mike Singletary, the great linebacker, did not play.
Bland in motion from the 24-yard line, and James again out to the 26-yard line. Stopped by Otis Wilson and also number 99, Dan Hampton. And it'll be 2nd and 8.
As we watch the Bears defense, and of course you probably followed them this year, they are different under Vince Tobin, the new defensive coordinator that replaced Buddy Ryan. They are not so, what could you say, helter-skelter. They do not move people around so much. Dan Hampton has become a much better defensive end, not having to move around. He stays over on that left side, and he's had a very effective season.
Ditka, talking about his defense, said they were less daring and more consistent, to sum it up. 2nd and 7, as Long appears to check off after looking over the defense. And the big rush is on, and the pressure is put on by Steve McMichael, forcing Long to dump off incomplete.
And, of course, you are going to have to go against a young quarterback with a lot of movement. Perhaps we'll see more blitzing, more movement by the Bears than we have during the regular season, even though I don't think they'll change that much. But they're going to do it because of this young man, Chuck Long. He has to be a little jumpy. He did not work in preseason at all. His coach, Darrell Rogers, is very honest about it. He says he's not really ready to be out there. He's out there primarily because Joe Ferguson, the starting quarterback for the last 4 games, has a bad knee. Eric Hipple has a very sore elbow. And I think, honestly, Darrell Rogers would have preferred he not play even this year.
On 3rd and 7, Leonard Thompson and Herman Hunter are both in for Detroit after the short drop. The pass is complete to the 40-yard line to Bland, and he's out to the 47. Short drop, quick pass, and a second first down for Long and the Lions, 19 yards.
Rogers says he's a little bit like Marino. He didn't compare him all the way, but he has a quick release. He's looking all the way to Bland. You'll have to get rid of that because that pass deep downfield, you do not want to totally keep your eyes on one receiver. Here comes Bland, the former free agent. He's looking. Zone defense back there by the Bears. Gets in the gap, and a well-thrown ball by Chuck Long.
So the Lions, who started this drive at their own 13, have moved out to the 46.
I want it back.
James and Jones are the running backs, and that is Jones, the 4th-year back out of Florida, the big fullback, short yardage specialist, and more, and a good receiver.
Fine receiver out of the backfield. Gary James, a 2nd-round draft pick out of LSU, teams well with Jones. Of course, the Detroit Lions just this past year realized that Billy Sims was not going to return. They drafted Gary James to come in there and perform some of the work that Billy Sims did. He's not a Billy Sims, but he is beginning to turn into a fine football player.
2nd and 7. Long, short drop again, and incomplete, intended for Jeff Chadwick. Richard Dent put the pressure on, and it's 3rd down and 7.
The thing that will trouble Chuck Long is that he has not seen a real live defense for any length of time. He's worked out in practice. He's worked out against his own teammates who give you the look of the Chicago Bears, but the timing is totally different. When you're out there with the real live folks and they are breathing smoke, they are talking to you all the time, and they're going to do that. You get the Dan Hamptons in your face, the Richard Dents in your face. If you keep your cool, it's kind of remarkable. If you do well, that's going to be even more remarkable. If you're great, that'll be amazing. Look at him. They're trying to shake him.
3rd and 7, and no chance. Dave Duerson on the safety blitz, and Duerson leading the league's defensive backs in sacks with 6, and that's number 7.
They work as such a team, all by design. It looks helter-skelter. No one in that gap, no chance, and no way that the block could be made by the back. Duerson beat the block. He is having a superb year. You mentioned the sacks, Al. He also has 6 interceptions. He's turned into an absolutely tremendous professional.
So Lou Barnes, who ran a kickoff back for a touchdown last Sunday against Tampa Bay, with Jim Arnold to kick. Fair catch is called for, and he lets it bounce, and it just does make it into the end zone. And so Chicago will take over with Tom Zak at the helm. The Bears at their own 20 early in the first quarter. Probably Tom Zak again at the beginning of the second half, and then Flutie to wrap it up. And it's Tom Zak and the Bears who take over at their own 20-yard line. Bears have had trouble scoring in recent weeks until last week, when they rolled up 48 against weak Tampa Bay. But they kept winning twice by 13-10 and once by 12-10. And Neil Anderson is in the starting lineup, and it's Anderson who takes the pass, and the first-round draft choice out of Florida gets out to the 23. So they split Anderson to the right for a 3-yard gain, and it's 2nd down and 7.
Having it all wrapped up in the Central Division, I think we are going to see a lot of Anderson, the rookie first-round draft pick that just caught that football. Thomas Sanders in his second year. They're explosive backs, as Ditka told us earlier this morning, and they would like to perhaps give Walter Payton a little rest. The problem is, now Walter doesn't want to come out of there.
And it's Payton who is the sole setback in this formation on 2nd down and 6. Anderson goes in motion, and Payton's first carry of the night is a gain of about 4 to the 28-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 2 as James Harrell, the inside backer, makes the stop. It's Anderson's first NFL start. Gold and Ortego outside with Moorhead, the tight end, and the offensive line. And that's an offensive line that has not yielded a sack in the last 4 games, and the NFL record is 5, so they can tie that mark tonight.
It's an offensive line that also has provided the blocking for the #1 rushing team in the NFL into tonight.
Matt Suhey is in the game, and it's Suhey who gets it on 3rd and 2, and Suhey carries out to the 33-yard line for a first down. It has not been a vintage year for Suhey, who's averaging 3.1 yards per carry and has not scored a touchdown since the opener against Cleveland.
He does so many things for the Bears, however. He's a tremendous blocker, a great all-around athlete, good receiver out of the backfield, very heady player, and one of those players that comes along now and then with great talent out of Penn State, but he was willing to subordinate that talent because he was in there with Walter Payton.
1st and 10 from the 34-yard line. That's Moorhead in motion. Tomczak pump fakes, going deep, looking for gold, nearly intercepted. Devon Mitchell, who played college ball with Chuck Long at Iowa, nearly came up with an interception.
He does well back there, the rookie 4th-round draft pick. He was looking at Tomczak. Tomczak was looking left all of the way. No question was going to go to Galt. Mitchell got a jump on it, reading the eyes of Tomczak, and almost picked it off. Should have picked it off.
The Lions defensively, and they've had problems, and they are very susceptible to the run. And being susceptible against the run is not a good omen when you're facing the Chicago Bears and Walter Payton. 2nd and 10 from the 34-yard line. Payton following Suhey, a little hurdle, and out to the 39-yard line. So Walter gets about 5, and it'll be 3rd and 5.
Running right, and we'll see a lot of that on the part of the Bears tonight, because if there is a weakness in the weakness of Detroit, and you hit it, Al, they are 26th in the league against the rush. Over on that left side, Jimmy Williams, perhaps their best linebackers. We look at the front 3 that turned into a front 3 a year ago. Jimmy Williams, their best linebacker, has been out for 6 weeks. They lost Bobby Watkins, who would have been the force man on that last play early in the season with the sprained arch. So we'll see a lot of the Bears running right, and they like to do that anyway.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 5 from the 39-yard line. Tomczak lofting it, and Payton comes back to make the catch at the 30. No, he doesn't. Incomplete at the 34-yard line. A great effort by Payton on a bad throw as James Griffin on the safety blitz put the pressure on, and Tomczak goes off limping, and we may see Flutie earlier than even Ditka anticipated.
Page from the Bears book. They bring the safety blitz from the outside. James Griffin, and he hammers into Tomczak, who's slow getting up. We could see Flutie earlier. Tomczak should never have thrown this ball. It should have been picked off. Had not Mitchell been playing the man, had looked up, that was just a wounded duck that he could have picked off.
And Payton able to curl back and almost make the catch. And Tomczak with assistance going back to the bench as Flutie begins to warm up. Buford to punt from the 25-yard line. Pete Manley makes the catch at the 20 and is tackled back at the 15, and that's Neil Anderson, who hasn't played much offensively this year, but he's been a terror on special teams.
What a great play by Anderson, the rookie running back. And Flutie is warming up, and I'm quite sure we'll see him on the Bears' next series. The play that took Tomczak out of the game full blitz by Detroit. They brought safety man James Griffin. Curtis Green was also there, number 62, and Tomczak is on the sideline at the moment, and they are looking at his right leg, and I think it is the right ankle. Much concern now for Tomczak as Detroit gets the football.
8:02 to play. First quarter at Pontiac, Michigan. No score. Chuck Long from the 18-yard line gives it to James, and he takes it out close to the 20. And it'll be 2nd and 8. And the word from the Bears bench is that they are going to take Tomczak back for x-rays. And the two Lions quarterbacks, number 12 is Joe Ferguson, and he's with Eric Hipple. Both have been injured, but both are healthy enough to play. Not so for Tomczak, who's going back for x-rays. So it'll be Flutie on the next series. 2nd down, 8. Detroit from the 20-yard line. Pressure again as Long shoots one over the middle and out to Jimmy Giles, the tight end. He's stopped by Fensick and Dewerson. And Giles has been a boon for Detroit. When Tampa Bay cleaned house and they got rid of Giles and Kevin House and Ron Springs all in one fell swoop, Giles becoming available and picked up by Detroit as Tomczak gets a ride back to the dressing room.
Chuck Long once again showing a lot of cool. Remember, he only had 4 plays into the night. He knew he was going to get hit, and he was hit by Otis Wilson. As he delivered the ball, he had to wait until Giles uncovered, and he did it like they'd been out there many years.
1st and 10 from the 29-yard line. Long throwing, complete to the 41 of Chicago to Jimmy Giles. And a nice little move by Long, stepping back, floating out to his left, and throwing, in essence, against the grain to Jimmy Giles. 2 catches in a row, and a Detroit first down at the Bears 41.
And you saw it. He was off balance. That has to represent a very strong arm. Giles put a good move on, too. He had a deep pattern that had been called, and he pulled it up and gave Long the target, and he was able to hit it.
Lions at the Bears 41-yard line. With 6 minutes to go in a scoreless first quarter. Bland and Thompson are split to the right. James the tailback and Jones the fullback with Bland in motion. And James inside the 35 to the 32-yard line for a gain of 8. Gary James played at LSU for the last 2 seasons, however. He was not their feature running back. Dalton Hilliard was, and James was a wingback for the most part.
You saw the speed, though, and he does have great speed, a great quickness, too. Played for Arnsparger down at LSU. Tough kid, 2nd-round draft pick, and Detroit traded up to get him. They wanted him, of course, with the loss of Billy Sims, anticipating that perhaps Billy was not able to come back, and he's had a fine year, over 600 yards into tonight. He is so very quick.
2nd and a short 2 with Bland in motion. James again tries to go to the outside, and a good play by Wilbur Marshall to make sure he had no room at all. Marshall, in the last game between these two teams in Chicago, came in and forced a fumble after a sack, picked up the fumble, and went in for a touchdown.
They have such great linebacking. Marshall, Singletary in the middle really is the soul of the defense. He calls the defenses, changes off, reads the defenses, knows it so well. He plays with such a high out there, Singletary. And then, of course, there's Otis Wilson. They play in such perfect concert with that down 4 line.
3rd down and 3 from the 34-yard line.
There they are.
Long, incomplete. Got rid of it in a hurry as Jimmy Giles was the intended receiver, and it was that safety blitz again with Dewerson forcing the issue.
Long knew it was coming. His eyes, I'm sure, were big as dollars. And Hipple came out to kind of give him a little bit of a congratulatory pat. Hipple is the holder and gave him a little pat as he comes on for the field goal unit, but Long was able to get rid of it as once again no one even touched Dewerson.
So Ed Murray comes on. It'll be a 52-yard attempt. near 50. This one is long enough and good. And for his career, he's at 50% from 50 yards and further. And with 4:09 to go in the first period, it's the Lions before the sellout crowd in Pontiac who take the lead.
Does not hurt to kick indoors in the National Football League. This is what transpired in 1986. And tremendous edge for the indoor kickers. You keep your toes warm, and particularly when you get late into the year. Watch Hipple. He's the holder. He's giving you a little body English, and we know it's there when they give each other concussions.
It's funny, there's such a great disparity, 50 and beyond, and yet it's very, very close from 49 and in closer. So it's only on the long field goals that it makes a difference. And running back the kick is Thomas Sanders from the end zone and out to the 29-yard line. And Doug Flutie. And who would have believed this 8 or 9 weeks ago when Flutie was somewhat unemployed, in quotes, and property of the L.A. Rams.
And almost sparked a rebellion when they signed him. And, of course, Jim McMahon said we didn't need him in the first place. Ditka said he didn't care what McMahon said about it. They have that kind of little infighting that has taken place throughout the entire season for the Bears. But here he is. Doug Flutie performed well last week. Had one long completion and a touchdown pass to Walter Payton, and he ran for one.
First and 10 from the 29-yard line. And Flutie to throw a screen, and Payton can't hold on. The pass a little high. Flutie was pressured, and his first attempt is an incompletion thanks to the great charge put on by Angelo King, the outside backer, number 92.
Let's take a look at it. What you have to do with the Doug Flutie, and Dale Rogers was very candid about it, the head coach of Detroit. You have to bring your outside men upfield. You can't let him get outside because at 5'9", he is very effective outside. Mike Ditka, quite frankly, when you talk with him, even though he won't say it straight out, I think his preference would be that Mike Tomczak develop a little faster. I think he still has reservations about Flutie, particularly the 5'9" height. But he did say, you don't throw over these guys anyway. You throw between them, and no one has done it better than Doug Flutie.
Second and 10 from the 29-yard line. Flutie complete to Dennis Gentry, and Gentry gets rolled out of bounds at the 37-yard line by Demetrius Johnson, number 21.
Of course, Flutie was the celebrated signee of the Generals, played there in the 1985 season, 9 games, broken collarbone, never really had an opportunity to show the great talent that we all witnessed when he was at Boston College. He's a very cerebral young man. He puts a lot of work into a football game. He'll come in on an off day. As you can see, he has the same birthday as Mike Tomczak. That's unusual, but he puts that extra effort into it, and he is very bright.
Third and a long 2 from the 36-yard line with Gentry in motion. Payton takes the pitch, and Payton works his way out to the 39.5, which should be enough for the first down. Stopped by Mike Cofer, number 55.
Now over 16,000 yards. Unbelievable. Remember a few years ago, 3 years ago, we were talking about would he ever be able to catch Jim Brown at 12,312? No one thought that was going to be possible. And he just keeps extending the lead. He's only 32 years old, and tonight was his 167th consecutive start. Durability, no question. Desire to play. He's had it forever. The fact that he has made that many starts, that to me is the most remarkable thing.
And enough for the first down out at the 39-yard line. And so Payton and the Bears at their own 39 in this improbable scenario. As a Bears fan, who would have thought early on this season that in the middle of December, Doug Flutie would be the quarterback. Tomczak would be having his leg x-rayed, and Jim McMahon would be in a hospital bed in Southern California after shoulder surgery on Friday. And it will be a number of months before McMahon can resume throwing. First and 10 from the 39-yard line as Flutie throws an incomplete, and he had Gentry open. Gentry had found the opening, and Flutie tried to rifle it there, but errantly. Second and 10.
Gentry was wide open. He got into the gap, got into the seam right there, and Flutie had all the time in the world. He probably is just a little pumped up at the moment. And as you can see, well overthrown Gentry. Also, he had underneath that, Walter Payton, who would have had yardage for a first down, but you saw Flutie also shaking his head. It was one he knew he should have had in there.
The dapper Ditka, who has guided his team now to an incredible mark over the past 2 seasons. The Super Bowl last year, a 12-2 mark this year. Sanders in the game. They split him to the right on 2nd and 10 from the 39. And Flutie throws it over the middle, complete to Sanders, and Sanders into Lions territory to the 43 and a first down.
That is the other dimension that Flutie will give you that Tom Zach does not. He is a superb athlete. He's a good running back. He read the blitz. He knew who was going to come open. Now look, Tom Zach probably would have been nailed there. Flutie was able to get away from it. He had the strength in the arm to get the ball downfield, and he got it down there for the completion. Going to Sanders. That was a good effort. And it is the special thing that he adds.
Lions on top, 3-0, 2:20 to go. First quarter. The Bears at the Detroit 43-yard line. Suey in motion. Payton gets the handoff. And James Harrell, number 58, in on the tackle. Harrell playing with a very heavy heart. His brother was murdered in Tampa 3 weeks ago. Ironically, the week before, the Lions went to Tampa to play the Bucs, and he played in that one and has played in the subsequent games. In fact, led the team in tackles last week. But a very difficult year and extraordinarily difficult circumstances for that man. 2nd and 4 at the 37. Payton gets 2 to the 35. It'll be 3rd and 2. Stopped by Eric Williams, number 76. Another Jim Brown mark is in jeopardy. One more and on the ground, and Payton will put his name alongside that of the former Cleveland Brown.
Any NFL record that was accomplished in shoes is in jeopardy as far as Walter Payton is concerned.
Bears trying to lead the league in rushing for the 4th consecutive year.
It'll be interesting now to see what Mike Ditka and Eddie Hughes, the offensive coordinator, will let Flutie do on a 3rd down and almost 3. Will they let him throw? He's going to change it off. I told you, he's very bright. He's changing it off right there after reading the defense.
Into the air, and he sidearms one for a first down to the 24-yard line. Flutie hitting Dennis Gentry, and that's another Chicago first down as Flutie has led them down inside the Lions 25-yard line.
He's bright, he's quick, he read that absolutely perfectly and knew he was going to have the man open. And the other thing that happened a short while ago when the Detroit Lions came with their blitz. They tried that the first 2 times. He was in a passing situation. Flutie got away from it both times. And they are literally going to drive Detroit out of that. And then you get a confused defense. You don't know how to react to it. But when you have athletic skills, as Doug Flutie has, you can really give a lot of gray hairs to a defensive coordinator. He's tough to get back there. That's Eddie Hughes, the offensive coordinator on the left, as Flutie talks to both Eddie Hughes and Mike Ditka. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Chrysler, driving to be the best, and Plymouth, where the pride is back. Chrysler Plymouth, we're working together to be the best.
Silverdome, Pontiac, Michigan.
Most famous appliance in America.
Well, he used to be known as the refrigerator. He still is, of course, but
double door nowadays.
It has not been a terrific year for him, and thus he's almost back to being just plain old Bill Perry for the moment.
I don't think he ever left that. He was so refreshing to handle everything that happened to him over the offseason.
Meanwhile, as the second quarter begins, Chicago at the Detroit 23, Lions on top 3-0, and on first down, the pitch to Suey, who takes it to the 20, and that's the 10th play of this drive, which started back at the Chicago 29 as we look at the numbers through the first 15 minutes.
Couldn't be much more even, except the scoreboard where Murray made the difference with a 50-yard field goal. And I think keeping it in perspective, the Bears would like to win tonight, Al. They would like to beat Dallas next week. They hope the Giants will stumble against Green Bay. And then if they did, they would have the home field advantage through the playoffs. Otherwise, the Giants are going to have it if they beat Green Bay next Saturday.
2nd and 7 from the 20-yard line. Suey. And he takes it down to the 15-yard line behind Payton. A gain of 5. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Chicago and New York, if you're wondering, could wind up with identical marks if the Bears win both and the Giants beat the Packers. And then the tie-breaking procedure, which would enable New York to have the home field advantage in an NFC championship game, would be the fact that the Giants have a better, or would have a better, conference record. The Giants have had only one loss in the NFC, and the Bears have lost both of their games to NFC rivals, Minnesota and the Rams.
They're on a collision course, no question.
3rd and a short 2 from the 15, and our first flag. And the referee tonight is Pat Haggerty, so we had a penalty-free first quarter.
Ball start, number 63, offense.
And that's Jay Hilgenberg, the center.
The brain trust that he used in there, the offensive coordinator. Ditka, the tight end, Moorhead. Ditka's great. He is. He's so much fun to watch. He doesn't care who he chews out. Early in the year, he almost tore Mike Tomczak's head off. But it doesn't last. I mean, the next day, everything is fine with him. He'd do that with anyone. Handpicked by George Halas because he's a lot like George Halas. He's a street fighter. He'll take you on anytime you want to go, but he's straight and fair, and that's what football players like to have from a head coach.
Meanwhile, as you saw, the Bears with difficulties, and when they get deep down, as evidenced right here, on the handoff to Payton on a play that never begins, but there is a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage at the 22.
Illegal motion, offense.
So let's see what the Lions want to do. If they take the penalty, it's 4th down, and the Bears will bring on Butler.
Illegal motion, right tackle, declined, 4th down.
Take the play, make it 4th down, and Butler comes in to attempt this field goal from the 32-yard line. Van Horn was guilty of the last infraction. Steve Fuller, who would now be Flutie's backup, is the holder. Kick is good. So the Chicago drive, which started at their own 29, winds up with a field goal, and we're tied 3-3 with 12:39 to play in the half. The Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, sold out tonight. May Chuck's reign be long. A salute to their new quarterback, a man who'd taken only 4 snaps prior to tonight, and he's getting ready to come out for another offensive series as the Lions receive this kickoff from Butler with a game time 3-3. Herman Hunter takes the ball at the 1 and brings it out to the 17-yard line. Detroit 1st and 10. And we've got a busy week, and we've got a couple of real big games. Friday night, Candlestick Park in San Francisco. The winner of that game wins the NFC West. The loser is a wild card and has to go to Washington to play in the wild card game the last weekend of December. Special time, 8 o'clock Eastern Friday. And then on Monday, in a game with big ramifications in the AFC East, the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. And New England can win the AFC East if they win that game.
And the Dolphins hanging in there by a flipper.
By the end of a flipper.
Give him a pin.
1st and 10 from the 17-yard line as James Jones, and the penalty flag goes down. And thus we had a penalty-free first quarter. And already now 3 flags here in the opening stages of the second period. And this one is holding against Detroit.
Well, we got a moment. Just say a little word of congratulations to Bill Parcells and the Giants. You can look at Darryl Rogers in his second year, looking to accomplish what the Giants did this year. Remarkable year. Joe Morris with his great year.
Holding, number 70, offense.
Penalty against Keith Dorney. Meanwhile, as far as the AFC concerned, As far as the teams clinching playoff spots are concerned, they're in green. The Jets have clinched at least a wild card berth. Denver winning the West. Cleveland winning the Central. The other teams in yellow, all 6, are vying for the 2 remaining spots.
And everyone should beware of Cleveland. Words of Mike Ditka.
1st and 18 after the holding call from the 8. Long pitching it to Jones out to the 14-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 12.
I mentioned the great year of Joe Morris, and I'm going to get off this, I promise you, with the Giants, but Phil Simms hung in there. So much abuse at the beginning of the year. All of a sudden, he's brilliant. And we knew that when we watched him last year in the Pro Bowl. Give him a couple of receivers, a little protection, he can play with the best of them.
See how much they miss you, though? 23 years without a division championship. You were there the last time they did it.
Highlights in black and white.
Yeah.
And against the Bears.
On 2nd and 12, on a draw, nothing doing. James Jones stopped before he ever got started. 3rd and long. 11 minutes to play in the half. Tied 3-3.
Talked about what a great couple of years has been. If the Bears win tonight, it'll be their 13th game, of course, of this season. It'll also give them 39 regular season victories in 3 years. Now, that's most of any NFL team for the same period of time, and they've used how many quarterbacks? Half a dozen? 7?
7.
I told you, Ditka doesn't believe in that quarterback theory much.
And Flutie would be number 8 if he starts next week at Dallas. 3rd and 13 from the 13-yard line. And it's knocked down by number 27, Mike Richardson, on a pass intended for Leonard Thompson. And so the Lions backed up deep in their own territory, and the Bears will get the ball back.
They let him throw down there. Of course, Detroit not going anywhere but home for the holidays. And they are going to take a long look at Chuck Long. A lot of confidence. Bill Rogers, but turned it loose down there on an outside pass. Didn't play it safe with his young quarterback, Chuck Long.
Lou Barnes, the return specialist. And sometime wide receiver with Arnold to kick from the end zone. Rushes on and nearly blocked, and a short kick that bounces out near the 45-yard line, and Thomas Sanders came charging in and may have grazed it. And Arnold furious with either his protection or a non-call.
No one even close to Sanders. He came on a direct line. I don't know how he missed it. Arnold a little slow because the ball is a little low. Sanders full sprint, and how he missed it I'll never know. It went right between his hands. He might have touched it just a little bit. Good field position now for the Bears.
3-3 tie with 10:06 to play in the first half. Silverdome in Pontiac. Lions 5-9 coming in. Bears 12-2. And Doug Flutie, if you joined us late, did not start the game. Mike Tomczak, though, was injured. The report on Tomczak, a severe right leg bruise. Doubtful he'll return. Calvin Thomas is in the game as a running back as Flutie drops back on first down, and his throw is incomplete and nowhere near Emory Moorhead, and a flag is down in the backfield.
And I'd like to think he was throwing that ball away. But he threw it into what could have been a lot of trouble.
Vernon Maxwell put the pressure on that time, number 57.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 57 with an elbow.
That's Maxwell.
A big one, and it does hurt. No reason for that. He was in there, could have pulled up on it.
And that is a big penalty. Instead of 2nd and 10 at the 45, it's at the 30, and it's 1st and 10. With Gall sent wide to the right, or wide to the left, and Neil Anderson into the game, wide to the right. Fake to Payton. Flutie steps up and over the middle and has it picked off at the 4-yard line by Galloway. And Galloway loses the ball at the 28, a scramble at the 30. And on the pile-up, Detroit still has it. And so Flutie rifling one. Bruce McNorton winds up with a fumble recovery after the interception and run back by Dwayne Galloway.
Flutie tried to squeeze it in to his tight end, who was double covered. Reitman was working down the right side, number 80, bottom of your screen. A lot of time for Flutie. A step back up. Thought about running, I think. Pulled it down and tried to ease it in there off the fingertips of his tight end and right into the hands of Galloway, who gets the interception. Now he'll cough it up when he's hammered out at about the 25-yard line. Ball is loose, mad scramble for it. And it was Bruce McNorton who comes up with it.
So the Lions have it at their own 30-yard line with 9:42 remaining in the first half. And Chuck Long from his own 30-yard line. Meanwhile, Ditka in conference with Neil Anderson.
One of those explosive backs he talked to us about, Al.
Number 1 draft choice out of Florida. But right now he would be number 3 behind Payton. And perhaps the delay here because of the look from above. It appears, or it did to me watching with the naked eye here, that the ground may have caused this fumble, and this could be the reason for the stoppage here. If it did, then the ball would be spotted back at the 25-yard line. That's Anderson in on the tackle.
That, of course, is the only thing that will be affected where it's spotted, because the Bears scrambled for it, lost it, McNorton recovered for Detroit.
Right. Detroit will have the ball. The question is, will they have it at the 25 or at the 30? That's the only reason for the delay here.
The old playing surface cliche. It cannot cause a fumble, and he did have the ball.
Andy Ansich is the umpire. Nick Skorich is the replay
After further
official.
review, the ball will be spotted on the 25-yard line.
So what Skorich has ruled upon reviewing that replay was that the ground did indeed cause the fumble, and the ball was at the 25-yard line, and that's Nick in the sweater vest.
Oh, former head football coach, been around a long time, and you know they're getting a lot of glitches out of this thing. Got one more game to go, and then into the playoffs. Took a lot of hammering in the early part of the season. There are still those who question it, but at least it's starting to operate in a much more smooth fashion.
First and 10. Detroit at the 25-yard line. Chuck Long, the rookie out of Iowa, in his first NFL start.
There's the harassment.
Long, backside pressure, throws complete to Gary James out to the 31-yard line for a gain of about 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Again, pressure. Dan Hampton as Chadwick, the Detroit Lions premier receiver, is limping off the field. He represents much of their receiving capabilities. Now there's a quick look they give you. Gary Finsick jumped in and out, number 45, and has to shake up a youngster who has not seen this kind of intense heat. He's only worked against his own people with the exception of 4 plays, and it was Dan Hampton, number 99, that is, as it often is, coming in from the left side. Now they work on Chadwick on the right side, and a fine receiver he's turned into over the years. Came up as a free agent 4 years ago from Grand Valley State. They didn't know much about him when he came in. All of a sudden, he had much more speed than they ever dreamed he had. They timed him originally at Grand Valley State at 4.9, but he got here and he was about 4.6.
And thus the 12-year veteran Leonard Thompson comes in to spell him. James, nice little cutback. And he takes it out to the 33-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 2 as Mike Singletary, number 50, gets credit for the initial hit.
Good move by James. He just danced number 55, Otis Wilson, right out of his sneaks.
Singletary trying to win another trip to Hawaii.
Would there be any question?
Pro Bowl 87, which will be played on the 1st of February. Meanwhile, Manley and Hunter come in. Hunter is their third down specialist, number 36, a man who caught 6 passes last week in Pittsburgh. 3rd and 2 from the 33.
Here they come again.
And Long gets it off, complete to Bland, and a first down at the 47-yard line.
That's what you give up if you can read it and you can get just a moment of time to get the ball into the air. Good move by Chuck Long. He knew what was coming. And it gives you always the single coverage as Bland is lined up against Bestie Jackson. Jackson, of course, is counting on the pressure, counting on the rush of Chuck Long. The Detroit offensive line gave Long just enough time to deliver the ball, and Jackson was beaten by Carl Bland. You don't even have to throw it well when you get that single coverage. That ball wasn't thrown well, but when you're playing man for man, you have to concentrate on the man, and you often don't see when the ball is arriving.
Long is 5 of 10 for 96 yards. 1st and 10 at the Chicago 46. Jones. He takes it to the 40-yard line, a gain of 7. A nice little drive here for Detroit with a game-tied 3-3. Jim Morrissey and Gary Fensick in on the tackle.
Detroit, as they did in the first game when they lost 13-7, is playing the Chicago Bears very tough. James Jones, one of the tougher running backs you're going to find, too, just explodes when he turns the corner and turns it upfield. He can make the defensive backs wince when they come up to hit him. Big, about 230.
Second and 4. Bland in motion. James, a hard yard, taking it to the 39-yard line. 3rd and 3. With 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. Chicago and Detroit 3-3. The Silverdome in Pontiac, where the Lions have had a lot of trouble this year. Through the years, the Lions have played exceptionally well at home, but not this season. Oddly enough, the Lions, under the big top here, have been very tough to beat and have had trouble on the road, but in 86 they are 1-5 here, and away from home they played well, 4-4. On 3rd and 3, Long over the middle and misses the wide open Jimmy Giles, and he knows it.
He was so open, but again the Bears jumping around at the line of scrimmage, bringing the blitz, and he has been fairly unflappable thus far. He was wide open. Jimmy Giles had the first down. He was down around the 30-yard line. Good protection. The offensive line did its job, and he just missed it. Those are the ones you can't miss to keep that drive alive. He even smiled about it.
And the Lions will not opt for what would be a 57-yard field goal attempt. Murray's career long is 54. Instead, they'll punt. Barnes back at the 10. Arnold to receive the snap at his own 46. This time Arnold has blocking. And the kick floats inside the 5 and bounds into the end zone. And the Bears will take over at their own 25-37 remaining in the first half in Pontiac. 3-3 tie. Silverdome, Pontiac. Doug Flutie leading the Chicago Bears with Tom Zach, a severely bruised right leg and not expected to return, though the x-rays were negative. And Doug 3 for his first 6 from the 20. Game tied 3-3. Payton starts this drive with a 2-yard gain. Flutie last week, Frank, was 2 for 7. Bob Verdi in the Chicago Tribune had this lead last Monday. Not since Dustin Hoffman chased down Mrs. Robinson and her daughter has one man created so much commotion for completing 2 passes in the same afternoon. The lead of the year.
I wonder if that's floating in the pool.
He's about as short as Dustin Hoffman, too.
Talk about that. Short doesn't always count. Eddie LeBaron was short.
5'7".
I used to like to say 5'7.5". But then my wife Kathy says I'm 5'5.5". She said, yes, I am.
2nd and 8 from the 22-yard line as Flutie throws complete to Gold and a first down at the 37-yard line. Stop by McNorton and Johnson and a gain of 15.
And what does Jim McKay, our colleague, say? I don't know what Jim is, somewhere around in there, Flutie's size. Perhaps he said, but I'm a man of ordinary stature.
Exactly. That's what he told Jackie Stewart once.
Who was another man of ordinary stature.
Right. But you know how much our pal McKay loves to interview Willie Shoemaker, don't you?
Oh, yeah, talking right down on his nostrils. Eating peanuts off his head. Some people are sensitive about it, but not Flutie.
Not Shoemaker either, who won a big race in Hollywood Park yesterday. From the 37, Flutie throws, and it's complete to Golf. And the first down out at the 48-yard line.
If you don't cover it, I'm going to come back and give it to you again. Plays, of course, called by Eddie Hughes, a former Giant player. There he is, the gray-headed one. And he's just given it to him right there, word of mouth. And they continue to work against McNorton. They get him in single coverage. Flutie can read it. He has an option. If it is double coverage over there, he'll come off it either to a back coming out or whatever it might have been called, going to perhaps his tight end. But if they single cover it, he's going to stay with it. McNorton has to respect the speed on the outside.
First and 10 from the 48-yard line. Payton to the Lion 46-yard line. Gain of about 6. Mike Colfer, number 55, an unheralded outside linebacker, makes the stop. Chadwick has re-sprained that right ankle, and he's still on the Lions bench, so it doesn't look good for Jeff.
That time it was Flutie who wanted to go right back over to the same side, wanted to work again in front of McNorton with Willie Galt that time. Detroit gave him a roll into his zone, and he dumped it off to Payton and got 6 yards out of it. This is surgery going on right now.
2nd and 4 from the 45. Payton on a little misdirection play, and Walter slithers his way close to a first down. He's rolled down by James Harrell, and he appears to be just shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd and inches coming up from the 42-yard line.
He's been doing that so long, I guess we've gotten used to it. Beautiful move just to get away from a tackle that would have caused the loss, and he almost turned it into a first down. And he still has that move at the age of 32 years old. And again, Flutie is giving it that dimension we talked about. He's athletic. You have to be very careful with him on the pass rush. So far, they've contained him, kept him inside, and he's been able to throw from the inside. But what looks good to me is the fact the way he's handling it. He's running this team. He's just not out there playing quarterback.
3rd and inches, and it's Flutie who gets the inches and a couple of yards more to the 40-yard line. First down, Chicago.
Another headline for Flutie. We'll read about it.
Yeah. Last week, those two rushes, one of them resulting in a touchdown, and 2 passes on back-to-back plays, resulting in another touchdown to Payton after a long completion to Golf.
You know, he looks small at Boston College, as I remember, but he looks like a dwarf in there. He looks up at those big guys, 6'6", 6'7", some of them a foot taller than he is.
Payton in motion from the 39-yard line. Flutie, big pressure, fires, complete, but a big loss on the play. Tim Reitman would have been well advised to drop it had he known. Keith Ferguson makes the tackle for a loss.
But again, it was not the loss that he would have had. He was able to get the ball loose, and you're right, Reitman should have batted it down. Perhaps he didn't know that he was under pressure, but good pressure from the linebackers. And did you see how they kept it to the outside? They did not want Flutie to get outside, and that's where he can kill you when you make him scramble. But again, not a bad play. He got rid of the football, saved the sack that would have been all the way back at the Bears' 45-yard line.
And we have come to the 2-minute warning. The Bears have all of their timeouts remaining. Tied 3-3 in Pontiac.
IBM presents You Make the Call. Danny White of the Cowboys passes to Tony Hill, who catches the ball in midair, is hit in midair, and then loses the ball when his head and shoulder hit the ground. Now, you make the call. Is this a fumble or an incomplete pass? What call did you make? For a legal catch, the receiver must maintain possession when he hits the ground. Therefore, this is an incomplete pass.
2 minutes remaining in the first half. A 3-3 tie at Pontiac. I suppose the score and the game to a certain extent, so typical of the black and blue division, and so typical of the way the Bears have been playing football this season.
Second down, 14. Should be a blitz down for Detroit, but I know they have to be concerned with Flutie's ability to get away from it. They show it, but they back out of it.
From the 43, and they only come with a 3-man rush. Flutie has it knocked down by Curtis Green, number 62. And it'll be 3rd and 14. And Flutie, with the ball near midfield, able to go over between plays and get the first-hand scoop from Ditka.
Flutie got to the outside, but he was confronted right away with Curtis Green. They're playing him well. And again, Curtis Green is not an exceptionally tall football player. The Flutie tried to come back against it. Good play by Curtis Green. Flutie, I don't think he even saw him.
Green, 60-year man out of Alabama State. 3rd down, 14 from the 43 out of the shotgun. Flutie fumbles the ball, picks it up inside the 40 and turns it into a gain to the 35, but he is 6 yards shy of the first down. Tackled by Maxwell, and you're looking at about a 52-yard field goal attempt.
Exactly. At least he gave Mike Ditka the option. He can put Butler out there now and go for a reasonable field goal attempt. Had he not been able to do that, it would have been there would have been no chance whatsoever for the field goal, and now there's consideration over the sidelines, and timeout has been called. Flutie will go over, and there will be a brain trust over in the Bears sideline.
1:26 to go in the half.
Bears on the 4th down and 6. The ball at the 35-yard line have decided not to attempt a 52-yard field goal by Kevin Butler. We know, Al, that he can kick that distance. We saw him in Green Bay in our game do that. What it could be is Mike Ditka has decided that he does not want to go with that kind of field goal from that distance with 1:26 remaining in the half. When you kick a long field goal, the trajectory is lower. Consequently, the opportunity to block it is much more there.
And so Flutie comes up in the shotgun on 4th down and 6 from the 35-yard line. Sends Gentry in motion. Steps up, pressure, sack at the 39. And the Lions take over, and Curtis Green gets the sack, and that's the first sack against Chicago in the last 5 games.
Now look again, and Detroit continues to pressure Flutie now. Nowhere to go outside. Looks in downfield at the tight end. Well covered. Credit the defense. They did a good job on it, and they corralled Flutie out at the 39-yard line, and Detroit has a couple of timeouts remaining. They have 3 timeouts remaining, and they have 1:20 on the clock, and they can think big.
So the Lions from their own 40. 1:20 to go in the half. Chuck Long, the quarterback, the rookie out of Iowa, the #1 draft choice. And they start with an inside give to Herman Hunter. A flag goes down. That's only his 3rd carry of the season. Hunter, the 3rd down specialist, and the guy who catches a lot of passes but rarely runs with the ball. And they try to cross up Chicago.
Face mask, number 72.
That's Perry.
Perry just couldn't get his hands on him, reached around in front of him and got a hold of the mask. Take a look at it again. You'll see it from the reverse angle, I think, a little bit better. There's Hunter, springing loose. Perry spins him around. He releases on it. Not a flag violation. But the big man could not get to Hunter. He is big.
1:12 now in the half, and it's 1st and 5 from the 45.
Showing blitz again, and they get out of it.
Long to Jones. And Jones has the first down, getting to the 49 and stopping the clock at 1:05. Keep in mind, too, the Lions, with Long, the rookie quarterback, are still minus their big wide receiver, as Chadwick is on the bench with the sprained ankle. So it's the longtime veteran Thompson and the 3rd-year free agent Bland.
Field goal kicker, Eddie Murray. Good. We know from 54 yards out, that's his best. So the Lions need to get down somewhere near the 35-yard line.
Flag is down. Backside pressure. Pass complete out to the 45 to Pete Manley, but a flag down at the 49. Richard Dent putting the pressure that time on Long. And Pat Haggerty to tell us. Offside against Chicago. Clock stopped with 57 seconds. And the Lions have all of their timeouts remaining.
I'll repeat, the Lions are playing the Bears tough. They played them tough in the first game. Lions losing 13-7. Jim McMahon did not play in that game either. Or he did play in that game, but Mike Singletary didn't play, which is one of the key elements of the defense that the Lions are facing tonight that they didn't face in that game.
Take it.
First and 5. Detroit at the Chicago 43-yard line.
Here they come.
Long has it deflected and intercepted. Richard Dent, or almost intercepted. Duerson couldn't hold on to it. Dent was the man who forced the issue and forced the errant pass.
Good pickup by the Lions. Now they pick up everybody. Watch at the bottom of your screen, however, Dent. It's a rollout. They just kind of forget about Dent for a moment. They fan back on him, try to get him with Dorney, but with great athletic ability. He's around Dorney, gets around the block, deflects the ball, and Duerson was concentrating on staying in bounds. He'll look at the yard marker first and tries to stay in there. He wasn't that close, but it cost the interception.
And it keeps the Lion drive alive on 2nd and 5 from the 43. Long to Thompson. Makes the catch at the 20-yard line.
Hey, that's pretty. Was he juggling it, though?
They rule it a completed pass and a 24-yard completion. And take a look here. Remember, both feet have to come down inbounds after he has possession.
As he worked, Jackson turns him completely around. Both feet have to be in bounds, and he also cannot be juggling the football.
One,
He's
two.
got it.
He's got it.
And the beautiful part about that, Chuck Long had almost disappeared behind his own blockers who were pressured right back into his face, and he was able to get that pass off.
First and 10 inside the 20. Dent chasing Long again. And the pass is out of bounds, and a flag goes down as Long got hit on the far side. Wilbur Marshall was there for the personal foul.
Dent is going to be exhausted if they keep that kind of rollout. They just put a fan back blocker on him, and he's into a full 30-yard sprint. The personal foul will give Detroit great field position. 36 seconds
Looking
remaining.
to passer. Number 58, defense, first down.
They protect those quarterbacks. Rightfully so. They've been disappearing like flies. Mike Ditka, I'm sure, is not very vocal about it. I'm sure he doesn't like it either.
Darrell Rogers watching his team now. First and goal inside the 9. 36 seconds remaining in the first half. Tied 3-3. Thompson and Bland are split to the left. James and Jones are the running backs. In tight. Nobody there. Jimmy Giles was covered.
Again, full blitz. Well, not the full 46 helter-skelter blitz, but they did bring the outside back. Hampton, again, putting a lot of pressure on Long. And it has been Hampton who has been consistent in getting in the face of Chuck Long all evening. Eddie Murray, of course, on the sidelines. One of the most accurate, third most accurate in the history of this game. And he's had the luxury and privilege of playing at least half of his games every season right here in the calm and the quiet of the Silverdome. That helps.
He's already kicked the 52-yarder tonight. It's second down and goal from inside the 9. Bland in motion. Keep it on the ground, and James goes nowhere. Stop for no gain. Lions take a timeout. They still have 2 remaining. It'll be third down and goal from the 8. And so Long over to talk it over with Rogers.
I know they have to be pleased with what the youngster's done already. I said it before, he did not come to training camp. Contract problem. By the way, that's Hipple on the right, Eric Hipple, who has a very sore elbow, offering his input to the offensive coordinator down there, Bob Baker, standing alongside of head coach Darryl Rogers.
Meanwhile, Friday night, it's the season finale for the Rams and the 49ers, and with the Rams leading by a half game in the NFC West, that game is for the NFC West title. Loser a wild card. Winner winning the NFC West is Chadwick with that sprained ankle. Appears to be done for the night. Monday night, next week, that's the final game of the regular season, the last game of the 1986 NFL regular year, and a big one. New England can win the AFC East. Miami is barely alive at the moment, and they will know whether they are alive or not after Sunday's games. But Miami, with Dan Marino yesterday, throwing for 5 touchdowns and beating the Rams in that overtime thriller in Anaheim.
We'll see that at halftime. Remarkable tournament round by Miami this season. And, of course, the one on Friday night, the Rams and the 49ers. For so many years, not too long ago, that was always the key game, and it is once again.
Third and goal. Long, pressured by Dent again. Sacked back at the 23-yard line. Big play. Richard Dent, the Super Bowl MVP.
That is about the third time in the last 4 plays that Richard Dent has had a full sprint of about 30 yards from his outside right position. Long saw him coming, tries to get away from him, and the big man has that great acceleration, drops him back there. It still leaves Eddie Murray in fairly good field goal position, but it does back him up thanks to a great effort by Richard Dent.
Dent trailing only his teammate in sacks for the Bears. That's Stan Hampton, who has 10. Murray, meanwhile, to set this one up near the 30-yard line, so about a 40-yard attempt coming up with 20 seconds. It's 4th and goal from the 21-yard line.
We talked about Murray being the 3rd best in the history of the NFL with a 74.3 field goal percentage rate. Down in New Orleans, Morton Anderson, keep again in mind that he kicks inside the Superdome. He needs 4 more field goals to qualify, and then he will become number 1. He's kicking at over 80% percentage. Helps to kick inside. Keeps your toes warm. Of course, there is no win. That is the real advantage, being realistic about it. You play half your games, and then occasionally those on the road.
Eric Sanders to snap. Eric Hipple to hold. And Eddie Murray's pick, a 39-yarder, is good. From 52 and 39, and with 15 seconds remaining in the half, the Lions are on top 6-3. When these two teams met here in 85, the Bears were leading 6-3 at the half, and the game Chicago eventually went on to win 37-17. And Chicago, in a game and a half now against Detroit this year, has not scored an offensive touchdown. They beat them 13-7 at Soldier Field. Again today that Wilbur Marshall scored Chicago's only TD, and Butler kicked 2 field goals. And they've been shut out as far as touchdowns are concerned tonight.
Interesting talking to Mike Ditka today as we had a quick look at him. And he volunteered, unsolicited at all, to say that Tom Landry, his estimation, was the finest coach in this game. Of course, he coached under Tom Landry for many years, 9 years, and there is Mike Ditka. Played for the Bears, of course, but totally unsolicited. He said, you unfortunately are judged on your record at the moment. And he was referring to the fact that Tom really does not have the talent that Ditka thought it took to have the record, but he just came right out with it.
Dallas with 20 consecutive winning seasons, and that string ends. Cowboys going down to defeat yesterday, and the best they can do is finish at 500 if they beat the Bears. Deep kickoff by Murray, and down in the end zone. by Dennis Gentry. So out they come to the 20-yard line with Flutie in 15 seconds, and 6-3 Detroit.
Fine job thus far by Doug Flutie. I think Ditka had to get him in there earlier than he wanted to. 7-11, 65 yards. I know that Doug himself would probably like to put one downtown if he could. He's got the man to do it in Willie Gault and all the speed. But he's moved around Detroit. They've been able to contain him. Their role, Darrell Rogers spoke to us about it. Keep him inside. Don't let him get outside, because that's where he can really hurt you. Make him throw from inside.
From the shotgun, from the 15. Flutie to Payton. Flag is thrown out at the 22-yard line. And the penalty stops the clock with 5 seconds. No penalties in the first quarter and a bunch here in the second. Ineligible receiver downfield. Murray has accounted for all of the Detroit scoring.
Ineligible man downfield. Number 79. Offense. Still first down.
That's Kurt Becker.
Speaking of Ditka's comments of Tom Landry, I like what John Madden said about Bill Parcells of the Giants. Tom Landry is the dean of coaches. Bill Walsh is the genius of coaches, and Bill Parcells beats them.
So far, 13-2 are the Giants.
Yeah, they are fired up in New York. And Mets, if the Giants were to do it.
You can be sure the Knicks won't.
Now that was wicked.
It's also true.
So true.
Flutie runs out the half, or kneels out the half to be more precise. And Detroit leads it by a score of 6-3. And Monday Night Football will return after this commercial and a message from your local station.
Frank Gifford, once again, the Silverdome, Pontiac, Michigan. Detroit leads the Bears 6-3. The playoff implications here, only if the Bears can win tonight. They can beat Dallas next week. The Giants lose to Green Bay next Saturday. Then they could have home field advantage. Such was not the case yesterday. Two very key games took place. In Foxborough yesterday, it was a game the 49ers had to have to stay with Los Angeles in the NFC West. First quarter action, there's no score. The Patriots have the ball. Second down and 10 at the 49ers' 46-yard line. Big day for Tony Eason. He's having a super year. Eason, with the protection, fires over the middle short. Hits Stanley Morgan, the veteran, and Stanley Morgan is on his way. Morgan, a big day. 8 receptions, 121 yards, and 1 touchdown. The Patriots, in this game, trying to stay with the Jets in the AFC Eastern Division. Morgan down the sidelines to the 8-yard line. And out of bounds. And then it was Tony Eason once again on the next play. Looking over the middle of the tight end. Greg Batty, he's there. And New England takes a 7-0 lead. Later in the first quarter, New England still leading 7-0. San Francisco first and goal at the Patriots' 3-yard line. Joe Cribbs around the right side to tie the score at 7. Cribbs and Roger Craig on the day, 193 yards rushing. Still in the fourth quarter, the 49ers leading 22-17. 10-yard run by Joe Cribbs. The 49ers win it when they had to. The final score, San Francisco 29, New England 24. The showdown with the Rams Friday night in San Francisco. And we'll be there. Meanwhile, the Rams could have taken the Western Division of the NFC yesterday, but it turned out to be a record-setting day for Miami Dolphin quarterback Dan Marino. Look at those numbers. But the record, a 7th career 400-yard game. Second quarter action, the Rams leading 7-0. The old flea flicker. It strikes once again. Marino with a lot of time. Mark Duper is wide open, 69-yard touchdown, one of 5 touchdowns on the day for Marino, who now has 41 on the season. Still in the second quarter, Miami leading 14-7. It's Marino looking for his other mark, Clayton. He's beaten Gary Gray for a 43-yard touchdown, one of 4 receptions for 84 yards on the day for Clayton, and it gave Miami a 21-7 lead. Not a bad day for the Rams' Jim Everett. Miami still leading in the third quarter, 21-7. Everett is back and looking. Henry Eller down the sideline, beautifully timed pass, 19-yard touchdown. And the Miami Dolphins lead was cut to 21-14. Everett once again with the Dolphins leading 21-14 on 1st and 10. Everett, a perfect strike to Kevin House for an apparent 23-yard score. On the field, the officials did not call the play a touchdown, but replay officials reversed the decision, and the Rams had tied the score at 21. Then in overtime, it was tied at 31. The Dolphins had won the toss, had moved down the field, and Dan Marino wasted no time looking once again to Mark Duper. An acrobatic catch in the corner of the end zone, and Miami defeats the Rams 37-31. The Dolphins stay mathematically alive for a wild card. And on Friday night, we'll be in San Francisco for the Rams and 49ers. The winner there takes the NFC West. The loser is a wild card. Special time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then on Monday night, we'll finish off our season in Miami as the Dolphins take on the New England Patriots in a game that New England must win if they are going to win the AFC East. And that one's going to rattle pro football fans, particularly on the West Coast. Remember the old days when they used to almost year in and year out decide the conference or the division when those two teams met?
Funny the way it's turned around, too. The Rams and the 49ers met in week 2 this season. It looked like Joe Montana's career was over at that point. He had undergone surgery. Jeff Kemp was the quarterback. Steve Bartkowski quarterbacked the Rams. Mike Lansford won the game on a last-second field goal. Rams won it by a score of 16-13. Now they're both in, thanks to Minnesota losing yesterday to Houston. But the loser of that game has to go to Washington. The loser of that game has to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl, win them all on the road. The winner at least has a week off, an extra week to prepare, and wins the NFC West.
And, of course, the Miami game, Miami's still alive. We mentioned earlier, mathematically alive by a flipper. Remarkable turnaround by Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins. They suffered through so much at the middle of the season. As we look at Chuck Long, the young quarterback out of Iowa, he's performed rather well. But, of course, New England in that Miami game, our final game of the season, Monday, December the 22nd, well, they have to win, and they know that. That should be quite a football game. So we'll be with you Friday, and then we will be with you again on Monday. And we'll be back in Pontiac after this message from our local stations.
So we go to the second half at Pontiac, Michigan. Lions 6, Bears 3. I suppose it's your quintessential Central Division black and blue halftime score. No touchdowns. Murray kicks off. Second half is underway. From the 7-yard line, Thomas Sanders gets run down out of the 17 as Donnie Elder out of Memphis State makes the tackle. And Doug Flutie comes out. Again, if you picked this up late, Flutie was going to play a lot tonight, and it turns out that he will play a lot more than even Ditka had anticipated because of the injury on the first series to Mike Tomczak. So the Bears right now with McMahon in a Southern California hospital recovering, and Tomczak gone for the night, down to Flutie and his backup Steve Fuller.
And maybe everything has been resolved for Mike Ditka. He was trying to decide who would be, Flutie or Tomczak through the playoffs. Could well be Flutie all the way.
Make the suey. Ball is loose at the 11-yard line, and the Lions have it. Pete Ferguson, number 77.
And Flutie limping a little as he comes off. He was buried under Ferguson, who is still hanging on to the football. The former San Diego Charger, one of the many patch-up players that they have brought together here in Detroit. They play pretty good defense. Not against the rush, but against the pass. They give you pressure. That's what Ferguson mainly is. He just lost the ball out of his hand. And perhaps a little sweat dripping down onto the fingertips. Took it back, tried to cock it, and lost it.
Now they're going to say his hands are too small. First and 10 from just outside the 10. Jones scrapping his way down to about the 7-yard line. The Bears, by the way, have not given up a rushing touchdown in their last 7 games. The last time somebody scored on the ground against Chicago, it was in Soldier Field, and the Lions did it with the reserve running back Scott Williams taking it in from 2 yards out.
Again, Doug Flutie over the sidelines. Eddie Hughes, the former Giant, former disciple of Tom Landry, coached under Tom for many years, defensive back. Now the offensive coordinator pumping up Doug Flutie on the sideline.
Scott Williams is in there. He's number 38 alongside Gary James. 2nd and 7.
Here they come.
Pressure, fumble, Long can't make the recovery, and it's Wilbur Marshall who makes it.
Oh, what a play by Marshall.
And it was Marshall who forced the fumble and recovered it and ran it in for a touchdown when he sacked Eric Hipple in Chicago. So back-to-back fumbles, and Marshall is going to take the ball with him.
They do it so well. You think you have something going against him. Bottom of your screen, you'll see him come in, number 58. There he comes. Around the horn, they did not keep enough people in to block for him. He had one arm on Chuck Long, the left arm, stripped the ball with the right arm. It bounded loose, and he was able to cover it. Great play by Wilbur Marshall. Actually won that job by default a year ago when Todd Bell was a holdout. They have not been able to get him out of there.
And thus the second half begins with back-to-back turnovers, and Matsui gets wrapped up after a short game. Keith Ferguson and Mike Kofer double team him.
I said Todd Bell, he was a holdout last year. It was Al Harris who held out, a Pro Bowl defensive linebacker for the Bears. Along with Bell, they held out all season. Wilbur Marshall got the job, and he turned into a superb linebacker, and you saw a great effort a few moments ago. This is how the Bears win it. They're not pretty, they're just effective.
Second down 8 from the 25-yard line. With Ortego in motion. Confusion, fumble again at the 21-yard line. And Haggerty takes a look. And the Bears have it. It's Flutie. So confusion on the handoff with Payton. But the Bears maintain possession this time.
This looks like the way they played in 1934. Everything piling up in the middle. A little messy at the moment.
Very. Third down, 12 now. Bears at their own 21. Lions lead 6-3 early third quarter.
I'm a little surprised they haven't used a rolling pocket for Flutie thus far tonight. To get him out where he can move. Roll him out to the right where he's the most effective. They have it in their game plan. But they have been going with nothing but the drop back. They just ran out of time on the 30-second clock.
What a beginning to the second half. Flutie has fumbled twice. And now a delay of game. And it will be third down and 17.
Ditka is getting hot. I know there was a little chit-chat at halftime. Any head coach hates to see this. Personnel problems, getting the play in late. And it puts you in deep trouble down there now.
Galt wide left. Ortego wide to the right. Suey and Payton, the setbacks. Suey, nothing. Fourth down.
That's your basic old conservative play. You can do that when you have the number 1 defense in the league. Don't do anything that's going to hurt you. Don't hurt your quarterback, Doug Flutie. Don't let him throw an interception. Perhaps get himself down a little bit because he looks like he's going to be the man to take the Bears into the playoffs. Don't get yourself hurt. Bring your punting unit on. You got a good punter. Let him kick away and then count on your defense. They've done it before deep down there just a few moments ago.
Pete Manley, who went to school in Flagstaff, Arizona, stands back at his own 40-yard line. Maury Buford. Good deep kick. Manley backing up. 26-yard line. And back to the 32. And that kick is 57 yards with a 7-yard run back. 11:06 to go in the third.
He almost put it out of here.
The Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. They came close to selling it out by the deadline, and then some local car dealers bought the remaining 5 or so thousand tickets, and the blackout lifted. And 80,000 looking on here tonight.
A lot of Bear fans, too, have come from, what is it, 5 or 6 hour drive?
Depends who's driving.
Hopefully, holiday season, everyone is driving a little carefully. If you're not, too.
First and 10, Detroit from the 33. Lions 6, Bears 3. 11:06 to go, third quarter.
Chuck Long changing it off.
James Jones out to the 35-yard line. He's stopped there by Richard Dent at second down and 8.
I don't know whether the Bears had time or not enough to do it, but many times when they get a young quarterback, he takes a long time in changing the play. He's not very confident in doing it. He hasn't done it very often. Well, a linebacker like Mike Singletary can also, as Chuck Long reads the defense, he can change the defense. And he is one of the best at doing just that.
Second and 8 from the 35-yard line. Thompson. And the 12-year vet out of bounds at the 47. Leonard Thompson, who caught Chuck Long's first touchdown pass against Tampa on a 4th down play 3 weeks ago.
Mike Singletary came on the blitz. It was a good pickup. Had him settled pretty good right there. Those setbacks going at him. And it was Leonard Thompson with a good move against Vesti Jackson, and you almost have to think that Jackson is a designated hittee we're going to work on tonight, because when the Lions have wanted to throw the pass, they've always been working against him tonight.
Gary James for a gain of 1 out to the 48-yard line. So they go with James, and a flag goes down for a late hit.
Personal foul, number 72, kicking. First down.
Oh, there goes the image. You weigh 325 pounds. You're kicking. You're hurting. Great hit by Durison, by the way. He was not involved in that whatsoever, but it just, again, illustrates the kind of year that Durison has had. 6 sacks, I believe. Al, did you get another one tonight?
7 now for the season, right?
6 interceptions. Making the hit there behind the line of scrimmage. He's everywhere.
Bears have now been penalized 7 times for 56 yards. First and 10 from the 37. Gary James wrapped up. Van Hampton and Singletary are there. And it'll be 2nd down and 9. That Chicago defensive front, one of the things we touched on in the Ram game at midseason, Buddy Ryan leaving, and in a way the Bears have very much used that to their advantage defensively. A lot of the Bears felt that Ryan had gotten so much of the credit that they began to almost say internally anyway, hey, look, we can play this game no matter who's coaching us. And so Tobin came on, and if anything, the defense has been at least statistically slightly better this year.
And right now they have taken Perry out, and Wachter is in.
On 2nd and 9, a bad pass and an interception at the 32-yard line by Mike Richardson. As the Bears get it back on an interception by Richardson, who ironically played his college ball for Darrell Rogers when Rogers coached Arizona State.
Bad pass, understatement, as Chuck Long, I don't know what he was thinking about. Just drop back. He's looking all the way. There's no way Richardson's not going to read it. He didn't even take a look downtown. You've got to at least look off the defender to some degree, and he had to know that he was going to be there. He was looking right at him.
Bears at their own 32-yard line. Payton, as they try to go back to the fundamentals. We've only played 5.5 minutes here in the 3rd period. We've had 3 fumbles, 2 of which were lost, and an interception.
The fundamentals are the Bears is strip the ball from the quarterback, hang around, get the recovery, take it in for a touchdown, as happened in the first meeting between these two teams. And the Bears prevailed on that one 13-7. They're not pretty. They just get it done.
2nd and 9 out at the 32-yard line. 6-3 Detroit. 8:40 to go in the 3rd. Flutie under pressure overthrows Suey. And it'll be 3rd down, and that time Vernon Maxwell forced the throw. You go back and you look at some of the Bears' victories this season, Frank. 13-10 over Philadelphia. 20-7 over Houston. 13-7 over Detroit. 13-10 over Atlanta. 12-10 over Green Bay. 13-10 over Pittsburgh. They haven't been winning by much, but they're still 12-2.
12-2. Like I said, somehow they get it done. They're playing in a game that is only meaningful if the Giants lose next Saturday. They're playing with a quarterback that's only been with them a few weeks.
Third and 10 from the 32-yard line. Flutie with the moving pocket and signaling, and hit by James Griffin. Fumbling out of bounds as Griffin caught him from behind.
That's the rolling pocket that we thought we'd see a little bit earlier, and unfortunately they had it called when there was a blitz on. Top of your screen is number 34, and that is Griffin. He got to Flutie once before, and he also was one of the key players in getting Tomczak out of the game. Flutie frantically trying to get his receiver to come back and give him some sort of an angle. He didn't do it. Didn't help Flutie at all, and the Bears are going to have to punt away. Lions are playing them tough.
Buford, who just got off a 57-yarder, Pete Manley back at his own 30-yard line. Not as long this time. An average kick fielded at the 33 by Manley. And he's run out of bounds at the 37. And the Lions will take over after a 42-yard punt with 8:12 to play in the third. Still no touchdowns tonight, all field goals. We have a moment. We're going to examine the AFC right now. The teams in bluish green, if your tint is working, are in the playoffs. The Jets, Denver, and Cleveland are in the playoffs. The teams in yellow, New England, Miami, Kansas City, Seattle, the LA Raiders, and Cincinnati are all still alive, but only 2 of the teams in yellow will go to the playoffs, and we'll elaborate as we go along here. 1st and 10 from the 37. Long gives it to James for a gain of 2. One thing that's pretty simple, New England and Kansas City are in the driver's seats. If New England beats the Dolphins, they win the AFC East. Even if they don't, if 2 of the 3 teams at the bottom lose this weekend, then they would still go as a wild card. So if New England wins Monday, they go in. If Kansas City beats the Steelers on Sunday, they are a wild card. If they lose, then the other scenario has to take place. 4 teams have to lose, but at least the Chiefs control their own fate.
Remarkable with 1 game remaining.
2nd down and 8. Long throws, and it's incomplete, intended for Giles, and he was covered by Fensick. It'll be 3rd and 8. And while we're on the subject, again, New England and KC in the driver's seats because they control their own fate. Meanwhile, for the Bengals to clinch a wild card, they have to beat the Jets, and they need the Chiefs or the Patriots to lose, so they may not know their fate until Monday. As far as Seattle is concerned, they have to beat the Broncos on Saturday, and then the Bengals, Chiefs, and Patriots. Of those 3 teams, 2 of those teams would have to lose. So Seattle has a sort of a mediocre chance, but they have to beat Denver for any of these scenarios to take place.
Can you repeat that a little later?
Repeat after me. 3rd down and 8 from the 39. Long, too long. Intended for
Bad read by Chuck Long, throwing into total double coverage. Had to see it.
Meanwhile, just to finish up on the other teams, the Raiders need a minor miracle. They have to beat Indianapolis, and that wouldn't be a miracle, but then the Seahawks, Bengals, and Chiefs all have to lose. Chances of that are pretty remote. And Miami would have to beat New England on Monday night, but before that takes place, the 4 teams you're looking at the bottom of the screen would have to lose over the weekend, and then Miami would still be alive on Monday. Arnold to kick, Barnes to receive, and he lets it go, and that was an injudicious decision. You ever seen a happier punter? 60 yards. And that one will be in his VTR bank forever. Lions on top 6-3 at the Silver Dome in Pontiac, Michigan. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford. Same site in which 84 points were scored on Thanksgiving Day when Green Bay beat Detroit 44-40. Flutie and the Bears, who've had a rocky 3rd quarter, fumble again. Lions have it at the 5-yard line. Demetrius Johnson. Can you believe the way the Bears are playing here in the 3rd?
And Walter Payton was the one who gave it up right into the arms of Demetrius Johnson. Sloppy 3rd quarter. The Lions have lost their last 2. They've lost 6 of their last 8, and they are making the Bears, a 12-2 team, look awfully bad tonight. Never had possession of it. Flutie handing it off a little high. Harold got a good pop in there, and the ball goes right into Johnson's arms. But can they get it in? They've been close to this position before.
Johnson last week had 9 solo tackles, forced a fumble, and intercepted a pass.
That one was just hanging around, and it popped right into his arms.
First and goal, Detroit at the 4. Thompson split left and Bland to the right. For Thompson! Touchdown!
Bestie Jackson again. I mentioned earlier, they have picked on him all night. Leonard Thompson may have lost some of it over his career, but with Chadwick out tonight, he's come on, and in his 12th year, has played very strong. There you see, bottom of your screen, man-to-man. He gave him a little look inside, Thompson did, to Jackson. Jackson bought it because you have to play up tight when you're down this close, and a beautifully thrown ball by Long right over Jackson. He never had a chance. He was beaten when Thompson gave him the look inside and broke it to the outside.
Long throws the second touchdown pass of his brief career. Hipple holding for Ed Murray. And the kick is good. And the Lions are able to capitalize on yet another Bear turnover. Walter Payton fumbling. And then on the fade to Thompson from Long, it's Detroit on top by 10 with 6:56 to go in the third.
Not a cool by Chuck Long once again. Had his man, laid it right over Vesty Johnson, who had bought the move to the inside by Thompson. And Detroit, 13-3 over the Chicago Bears.
Some salvation. A season in which the Lions are 5-9. And the crowd into it. And the players exhorting the crowd while we were in commercial as Murray kicks off. Taken at the 9-yard line by Dennis Gentry. And he brings the ball back out to the 30. Leonard Thompson scoring the first touchdown of the night and tying Terry Barr's Lion mark with his 35th career touchdown reception.
Now, either this is the best 5-9 team we have watched all year long or the worst 12-2 team. You know, you can't hardly go without saying it. This team is still a different football team, the Chicago Bears, without Jim McMahon. Of course, he is gone. There's no question he is out for the season with the surgery. But they need somebody, a leader type, and Flutie has shown a little bit of that tonight, that quality. But keep in mind, too, this is only his second extended action.
First and 10 from the 29 as Payton gets it right back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all.
And this defense is all over the field. They have been very successful on the blitz. They've been stripping the football. And it's a team that came into tonight ranked 26th in the league against the rush, 18th overall. And, you know, if you're head coach and you're heading for the playoffs and you're blowing an opportunity right here to stay alive for home field advantage, you've got to be upset with what you see going on out there. You'd like to have some kind of momentum when the second season starts.
Second and 9 from the 30-yard line. Dumped off to Payton, and it's all he can do to hold on, and it's incomplete.
That was a good pass. It was a great play by Harold to get there. Flutie did what he had to do. The blitz was there. He had no chance, and he just dumped it over the man. You'll see the pressure he gets right up the middle. Harold reads it from the inside. The ball is perfectly thrown, and Harold, who has started the blitz, read it, got to the outside, and made a great play. They are playing like a possessed team.
Third and 9 at the 29.
It's good, too, because this is a team that's going to be watching the playoffs. It's good for football to see this happen. They're going to be watching the playoffs over the holidays.
On third and 9 with Gentry in motion. And everybody in the pattern. And a four-man rush. And it's caught at the 41 by Gentry, who pays the price but gets the first down. Survives the hit by William Graham.
And it was a hit. Great concentration by Gentry. Graham unloaded on him. Flutie put it up there where wide receivers hate to have it delivered. You put it up high, and you know when you go up, you're going to get it. And just excellent concentration by the former running back. Dennis Gentry as Graham really unloaded on him.
Chicago at the 41. First and 10. 5:19 to go, third quarter. Payton. Out to the 45. They've done a pretty good job containing him tonight. Payton has not sprung loose. 10 300 carry seasons. That tells you a few things. It tells you he's great. Because if they give you the ball 300 times over 10 years, you have to be a great back, and it really points up his durability.
How about his 167th consecutive start for a running back? I think the nearest one to him has 34.
James Brooks. On 2nd and 6. Flutie nearly has it intercepted.
Should have
Devon
been.
Mitchell almost had another interception intended for Willie Gall.
Galt was open, and Flutie just had to find a place to deliver it. Again, it's pressure, though, by that front line and the linebackers of Detroit. Now, watch Galt. You got to respect his speed, former world-class sprinter, and you saw Bruce McNorton just disappearing, but he had time to get back into it as it was almost picked off.
2 almosts for Mitchell tonight. 3rd and 6 from the 45. Flutie is 1 out of 5 in this half.
He's changing.
Stumbling, maintains his balance, and another errant pass. Intended for Lou Barnes. He was chased by William Graham on the safety blitz.
I don't think they were all on the same page offensively. Flutie changed at the line of scrimmage. He wanted the rollout. He got one man out in front of it. Keith Van Horn stayed home, number 78. You can see him. He should have been playing to block back inside against Ferguson. And Flutie, under great pressure, had to throw it away.
This has been a very discouraging quarter for the Bears. And, well, Tom Zack's gotten it, and McMahon's gotten it, and Fuller's gotten it through the years. So why not Flutie?
He told him what he wanted to do. Flutie changed it off, and he didn't like it, and he told him about it.
And the boys are paying attention.
He will get their attention.
Yes. Into the end zone for the touchback. And out they come to the 20. Yeah, Mike will make you stand in and listen.
I have a feeling it's just a guess. At halftime, he said, realized they're playing bad, and he realized it early in the third quarter. He probably talked to Flutie on the sidelines and his offensive coordinator, Eddie Hughes, and said, let's go back to the basics and let's stay there. Let's go back and play bare football, tough football, hard football, and count on our defense. Let's don't get cute out there. We're not a cute football team. Flutie went out, changed the play, got himself in trouble, and Ditka didn't like it.
1st and 10, Detroit from the 20-yard line. 4:14 to go in the third. James Jones fumbles. That's the play of the moment, isn't it?
It's the Detroit night, though. It was a Detroit bounce. Funny how it works that way so often. Dale Rogers, 20 years at the college ranks, coming here from Arizona State a couple of years ago.
Longtime college coach, Fresno State, San Jose State, Michigan State, and then Arizona State.
Good sense of humor. Asked him about Chuck Long starting night. Said, not ready yet. Said, we're going to see what happens. He thinks he's ready, but we know he's not. And he hasn't done badly.
It's 2nd down and 10, not 3rd and 3. 2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line. Jones, he takes it out to the 27. James Jones, if you're wondering, he is not the same James Jones who played with the Dallas Cowboys a few years ago, but he is one of a dozen Joneses in the league. And then he plays in the same backfield with Gary James.
Are there more Joneses than Johnsons?
Well, you can call me Lou.
Steve Hurt, Mr. Univac down there, has got us an all, what is it, an all-Williams team?
There's an all-Johnson and Williams team, which we can discuss as we move along.
Missing only a center, and the Giants' backup is a Williams, providing that.
3rd and 3 at the 27-yard line.
There's a harassment. Dempsey, 45, stepping in. Chuck Long, running out of time on the 30-second clock, had to use a timeout. And that's what you do. You harass the young one.
And it'll be 3rd down and 3 after this first Lions timeout of the second half. 2:38 to play in the third period. And we can tell you that on ABC's Wide World of Sports this Saturday, and note the special time at the bottom, 4 Eastern and Pacific, 3 Central, Pernell Whitaker in his hometown of Norfolk, Virginia, in action against Alfredo Lane in a good lightweight fight. And America on ice with world champion Debbie Thomas, world and Olympic champion Scott Hamilton heading a great figure skating field. A special holiday treat for you this Saturday on Wide World.
Jim McMahon's taking a little too far.
McMahon operated on Friday and still recovering, and he'll have his arm, his shoulder in a sling for a period of time, and then it will be several months before he's able to resume throwing. So the Lions now asking for some quiet. 3rd down and 3.
They're into their wave, and it's a bad one.
Every wave is a bad one.
Did they do this in Europe, soccer games?
God forbid.
You know, they did. The Bears, as a matter of fact, played Dallas way back in the summer. I was there for that game, and they did pick up a wave. And it started in opposite directions, and it meant it was an amazing thing.
Look at Long. He's asking them to cease and desist.
Well, he might want to change the play. They could never hear him if he wanted to.
3rd and 3 as he goes to the air from the 27, and he is sacked back at the 20. William Perry put the clamps on him.
The Fridge was on top, but Dan Hampton came from the outside and made it happen. The Fridge was just hanging around in the middle. He has not been much of a factor tonight, but Dan Hampton has been there on almost every occasion that Long has been pressured. He's playing better, Al, since they left him home. Last year, under their wild sort of helter-skelter defense, under Buddy Ryan, they moved him around a lot. They've left him home this year.
Lou Barnes, who ran a kickoff back 85 for a touchdown against Tampa last week. Arnold a kick from the 5. His last one was a beauty. This one's pretty good. Barnes at the 26. 40. 50. And knocked down by Arnold himself at the 40-yard line.
Oh, and he was gone.
54-yard kick, as it turns out, but a 35-yard run back, so only a 19 net. And a Bear is shaken up, and it's Thomas Sanders, who is the backup to Peyton.
Look at it again. Barnes not looking for any kind of a picket line. He just turned it on. Did not care about his body whatsoever. Went right into the pileup. Broken on the outside, and had he been able to get away from Arnold, that was 6 points. Sanders now is the concern of the Bears. Yeah, these guys who play on these special teams, they are involved in some of the most violent collisions. It's strictly physics, mass, weight, motion, and they're getting bigger and stronger and quicker every year.
You can bet you won't see Flutie on a special team.
Lions have been harassing Flutie almost as effectively as the Bears have been harassing Chuck Long. With credit to this Lions defense. They played superb football tonight.
From the 39, Gold to the 32, Dwayne Galloway making the stop.
This is what I think Ditka wanted him to do. Now, go out there and do this sort of thing. Get some high percentage stuff. Go to Willie Galt. Hit him on a 5-yard stop because you know that defensive back is thinking he's going to blow by me. You know he's going to be open. Every time you read the single coverage, go to him. Let's don't get fancy. Let's don't try to get six. Let's play fair football.
2nd and 4 from the 33. And Calvin Thomas.
No, I don't believe it.
Fumbles at the 23. Detroit has the football.
They'll bring it back.
Play has been whistled dead. All this means nothing. But Detroit has it. Bruce McNorton.
Ditka is going to eat a sneaker.
And a cleat as well. McNorton recovered a fumble last week against Pittsburgh to set up a touchdown. And he does it again.
That's the remains of the sneaker. Love it. Don't you love this? What you do? Take the points or give the points? Sanders once again.
I hope she took him.
Calvin Thomas tripped up, just lost the football. They didn't even collide with the football. Thomas and Sanders, Ditka wanted to see a lot of them tonight. We may go back and live with Peyton the rest of this game.
First and 10 from the 23. Lions on top 13-3. Looked like Long nearly fumbled the snap and then gets it away deep, and that's tipped and incomplete. 3 Bears were there. Leonard Thompson, the intended receiver, was Jackson Fensick and Dave Duerson, all in the neighborhood.
That was a 6-point ball. Had he been able to get it there, he just didn't get it there. You can see Thompson pulling up. He had beaten Dusty Jackson. They have worked Jackson over in grand fashion tonight. And Long, that's kind of disturbing. All he had to do, when you have an outside receiver, you hold it for a 3 count, you throw the thing as far as you can. Don't underthrow it. It was a good move by Thompson to get behind Jackson, and Long just didn't get it there.
Second and 10, Detroit at the 23-yard line, 1:10 to go, third quarter, 13-3 Lions.
Here they come.
James to the 36-yard line. It'll be third down at about 7, now at the 26-yard line, 3rd and 7. Detroit, a team that has a 5-9 mark, but several of the losses, close games. They lost to Cleveland by only 3. Rams beat them by 4, pre-Everett. The 6-point loss to the Bears. The Green Bay defeat on Thanksgiving by 4. So they've been right there a lot. And tonight they're right there up by 10. 3rd and 7 from the 26-yard line.
They're showing blitz again.
And this play is whistled dead before the snap as the clock had gone down to 0. The 30-second clock.
Perry's having a very frustrating night. He's been called in a personal foul. One for kicking. There he is. Is he getting bigger? Is that my imagination?
He's getting bigger. That's the reason, one of the reasons that Ditka has not been using Perry, and he's only carried the ball once this year, is the fact he did put on so much weight.
And he fumbled that one. That 72 looks so small on that huge body.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Same size as Flutie's, too.
3rd and 12 as it comes back to the 21 after the delay. And as the clock is restarted at the 21-yard line, the quarter will expire as they change ends of the field. And Long in his NFL debut and his club on top 13-3 as we go to the 4th, and we'll be back after this message from our local station.
Wednesday.
Mistletoe.
'Tis the season to be jolly.
You hang it over the door, and women have to kiss you. What a gimmick.
Perfect strangers. Then.
You understand why Ditka's gnawing on his sneakers? 4 turnovers. That's the big difference. And just sloppy football. And you can say a sloppy football on the part of the Bears, or you can say it's inspired defense on the part of the Detroit Lions, who are going absolutely nowhere in the playoffs. They're just playing good football tonight.
And what you can say about the Bears is they played a thoroughly abysmal third quarter.
They played those in the past, however. They were 12-2.
3rd and 12 from the 21-yard line, and they keep it on the ground to James Jones, and he goes nowhere, and thus Detroit will check. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Monday night in Pontiac, Michigan. Lions leading 13-3, and Jim Arnold comes in to kick again. Tonight, well above his regular season mark, a 60-yard beauty. The last one was 57, but Barnes ran it back 35.
Once led the league at Kansas City.
This is a low kick, 39-yard line. Barnes and low kicks normally result in good runbacks. And that's a run back of 16 yards to the 40.
Barnes looking awfully good. 5th round pick from Oregon. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited. If you rebroadcast the third quarter in Chicago, Ditka will rain all over you. Not a good way to head into the playoffs, though. They have Dallas ahead of them next week in Dallas. I know that Ditka would like to get it back to something a little more steady. Keep it simple. I'm sure that's what he has told Doug Flutie to do.
Calvin Thomas in the game alongside Payton. From the 40, Flutie throws a high pass, but pulled in by Willie Gault.
Gault had a good move. Flutie was late getting it there, and that's the one when you come back, your wide receiver, and look at Flutie in the eye, and if he'll look at you in the eye, because that's the kind that can get you on IR rather quickly. Hang it up there high, you know you're going to get it.
12-yard gain, 1st and 10.
That's what I'm sure the Ditka told him to do. Every time you see Gault out there alone, go to him.
Payton on a sweep. And he gets swept under. Payton, by the way, does not have a run of longer than 20 yards in his last 4 games, so they've been doing a pretty good job stymieing him, and there's a penalty marker down. Meanwhile, let's go back and again take a look at the NFC playoff situation.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 58, defense.
That's James Harrell, so they'll march that off. Now, in the NFC, those 5 teams go in. Those spots are open. The only question is who plays whom. Giants and Chicago already winning their divisions. Washington a wild card. They host the wild card NFC game, and they meet in that game the loser of Friday's Ram 49er game. The winner of the Ram 49er game, as Harrell pleads his case, wins the NFC West.
That foul really hurt the Lions. They would have had a 2nd and long situation. Now they have a 1st down inside the 15.
And Shelton Robinson comes in to replace Harrell. And it's Calvin Thomas moving that pile down to the 9-yard line for a gain of close to 5.
And Flutie is doing exactly what he's been told to do. Don't change it off. The play being sent in by Eddie Hughes, the offensive coordinator. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it straight. We're going to play bare football as we look at Mike Tomczak, who went out very early in this game. He was scheduled, Al, to play about half of it, according to Mike.
According to Ditka, Tomczak would start, then Flutie would come in, and then Tomczak would come back, and then Flutie would finish up. Instead, it's been Flutie, and Flutie's going to take a timeout here.
Oh.
He takes a timeout.
Ditka won't even look at him.
With a 2nd and 5 coming up, and 12:47 to go in the 4th. 12:47 to go in the 4th. Detroit on top 13-3. And Chicago has the ball 2nd down 5 at the Lion 9-yard line.
While we were away, Ditka cooled off a little back and came back and had a few words with his quarterback, Doug Flutie. He doesn't spare any of them, though. Early in the year, he stood out Steve Fuller. Mike Tomczak has had a ton license from him. Flutie has got a little bit of it tonight.
2nd and 5 with Ortega in motion. Thomas, but that play was whistled dead before it started. Haggerty says.
Ball start, right guard, offense.
Dick is sending Kurt Becker in with a flourish.
You gotta love it. He was this way as a player. He was the only tight end, and he set a tight end record for receptions in 1964 or 75. But he'd come back and practically punch out his own quarterback. And he'd fight with defensive linebackers. He's that kind of a man. And it doesn't last with him very long.
Neil Anderson is in the game. That's him in motion from the 15-yard line. As Flutie throws and nearly has that one picked off by James Harrell.
He's got Steve Fuller up there. He's got Moorhead by the jersey. Get in there and tell him what I want done. When Flutie leaves after this series, he may go to the Detroit bench. There it is. He tried to squeeze one in and got it right into the arms of James Harrell. Ditka almost ate his clipboard. And you saw the action as he sent Emory Moorhead in with the play. Believe me, it will be a simple one.
3rd and 10 from the 15. Moorhead in motion to get away from Ditka, I suppose. And Flutie rolling, and that one is nearly intercepted. Mike's ready to get the Charger right now.
His neck went from 19 to 24.
I don't know if that neck is capable of showing veins, but it's getting close.
The beautiful part about it is it's all forgotten tomorrow. He's just a competitor. Flutie looking deep. The man's not there. You roll out. This is where Flutie is at his best. But again, he threw it into a crowd not even close to the receiver, which I presume to be Anderson.
Meanwhile, Butler now a 32-yard field goal attempt. Fuller spots it, and Butler wouldn't dare miss it because he has to go back to the bench. 12:26 remaining in the fourth, and the steam still rising.
This is so much fun. You gotta love it.
For who? Kevin Butler to kick off. 13-6 is the score. Lions on top with 12:26 to play in the fourth period in Pontiac. A one-hopper, and Herman Hunter's going to come out with it. And he's buried out at about the 17-yard line.
This happened earlier, recorded. He is sending Emory Moorhead in with a play, and he says, I don't care what he says, he better not change it.
Look at Fuller behind him.
Now he's looking at Flutie over Moorhead's shoulder at that point.
Yeah. Poor Moorhead. Emery's saying, hey, look, I'm just a messenger, right? It's the old Cleopatra routine.
Don't bring me bad news or you're dead, Buster.
Right.
This is so much fun. Good work by our camera folk, too.
Yeah, I tell you, the most precarious spot would be to be our handheld guy on the far side. From the 17-yard line, the flip goes out to Leonard Thompson, and he takes it out to the 30-yard line for a first down.
Thompson playing very well tonight in his 12th year after Chadwick went out with the injury. He has been a key factor and a big help to the rookie Chuck Long in there.
Lions at their own 31-yard line, 1st and 10.
Pensick up in the line, showing blitz. Now he drops out of it.
James Jones. I think you can pretty much sum up Long's performance to this point as not spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, and the numbers are decent, but he seems to be exhibiting a certain amount of poise. He has not been flustered. He's played a functional game and a pretty steady game.
And he's still walking. That's another plus. He, of course, had little or no work at all in live action. 4 plays 3 weeks ago. 1 pass for a touchdown. Ended the night against the Bears, #1 defense in the league. What has really worked for Long has been the offensive line. They have pretty much kept that Bear defense off him. They've been picking up well of the blitzes. They've done a fine job.
2nd and 9 from the 32. Long sacked at the 21.
All you do is have to say it.
Yep. McMichael and Dent.
McMichael may be the most undersung of that front four. He's tough in there, tough against the run. He has 7.5 sacks coming into tonight. That's the 8th for McMichael. Funny man, too. One of the many characters on this team. This is a great football team. They have been fighting all year long. People say, well, how can they play? How can they win? How can they be 12-2? They just are chewing on each other all the time. They have a head coach that chews out the quarterback. That used to be sacrosanct. You didn't do that. They do just whatever they want to do. And they come together and somehow, and it might be Coyote Ugly, they somehow manage to get there at the end.
Plenty of teams in turmoil have won championships through the years. 3rd and 19 from the 22. Caught by Bland, who runs east-west and then north-south for a while out to the 38-yard line. Shy of the first down by about 3. And shaken up. And they've already lost Chadwick. And now Bland is hurt.
Holding his right shoulder. Chadwick went out earlier. There is Chadwick. Deep bruise. The right leg. X-rays were negative for Chadwick, but he's on crutches.
And now Bland, their other wide receiver. So the two starting wide receivers are both on the bench, and Arnold is in to kick on 4th down and 4. Barnes is back at his own 21-yard line. Another good kick by Arnold. Barnes at the 11. And another good run back. Out to the 26 after a 52-yard punt and a 15-yard return. 13-6 Detroit. That's Carl Bland, who was last seen on the turf, and he's gotten up and was rotating his right arm and shoulder as he can rest for the moment with the defensive unit out there. Lions on top by a score of 13-6, and the Chicago Bears have the football at their own 26-yard line. 1st and 10. Flutie has Suey and Payton in the backfield with him. Suey in motion. Play action for Moorhead. Makes the catch at midfield. And then the ground created the fumble at the 49-yard line. Chicago ball covered by Galloway and Johnson, but Moorhead got there and the pass was right there.
Moorhead, the old giant, Denver Bronco. Flutie had a little floater on this. At least he had time to get it off. Got it in there to Moorhead. In the zone. Good pass by Flutie.
Nearly a face mask. 1st down, 49-yard line. And it's Anderson. Some nifty running to the outside as Anderson is forced out of bounds at the 41-yard line by Bruce McNorton, and it'll be 2nd and 2. Neil Anderson, number 1 pick out of Florida, but when you play back of Payton, and also the way it's been going, he's been playing back of Thomas Sanders, who's done well in his limited role this year, so he'd be number 3 on your depth chart. 2nd and 2 at the 41, 9:02 left in the 4th. And Suey plows his way down to the 36-yard line. Ditka, believe it or not, is a little happier. He'd have to be at this point. 1st down. Later tonight on Nightline, the flight of the Voyager, made entirely of fiber and paper, trying to fly around the world. It took off yesterday from California, trying to fly around the world without refueling. An 11-day trip. It could be the beginning of a new era in aviation, and that's the subject tonight on Nightline, following your late local news. On 1st down, a huge hole for Payton to the 19-yard line on his longest carry of the night, and the Bears are very much back in gear.
And you can see that Ditka's calling the plays. He is giving them to Fuller. Fuller is flashing them in. And now he's going to give one to Reitman. They have been either flashing or sending in. Good opening for Payton. Had a good lead block. Big opening. Started to go outside. Had he just turned on the speed, he might have even popped it all the way.
He's calling them, and they're executing them. After a terrible 3rd quarter. 1st down from the 18-yard line. Suey picking up yardage now in big chunks as he gets to the 12. Mike Kofer makes the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and about 3.
And I'd hate to be the next Bear that turns it over down here. They have been rather consistent in doing that.
I'd hate to be that Bears insurance agent. 9 of 11 when they've scored 2 touchdowns or less. That's been the story of the Bears season. On 2nd and 3, it's Suey getting to the 7, and that'll give them a 1st and goal.
That might be just about as imaginative as we are going to get down here. Ditka to Fuller. Fuller, number 4, the backup quarterback. And he is signaling the play in. That's Eddie Hughes, offensive coordinator. You had a fly shove, but we know who's running this show right now. There's no question about it.
Good thing Fuller wasn't signaling the men in Italian. 1st and goal from the 7.
He's got Galt all alone at the top.
Payton to the 4.
But he was not even thinking about changing it up.
Hit by Shelton Robinson. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Ditka again. Fuller, flash it in. And he'll be on the ground.
Ditka's tirade on that last series has brought the Bears to a new level. I mean, even Fuller is so into it, signaling those plays in. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lord help him if he blows it.
Oy. 2nd and goal from the 4. Suey. And he's in.
That's what he wanted. I told you guys, that's what we have to do.
Matt Suey takes it in, and the Bears are within a point of tying it up. And that's Suey's first touchdown since opening day against Cleveland.
He doesn't carry it that often, but whoever is carrying that football out there now is, number 1, going to hang on to it, and number 2, they're going to give it everything they have.
If you've ever seen a coach's personality manifest itself in a drive, that's it, folks. You just saw it.
He practically played in that drive.
Butler with Fuller holding. Perfect. And with 5:49 to go in the 4th, the game is tied at 13.
Suey, very talented former Penn State player, played just about everything Joe Paterno wanted him to do then. When he came in, there was a Walter Payton in the backfield, and he seldom gets this opportunity. And you saw Payton do something that he does so well. Blocked by Walter Payton against Angelo King, the linebacker. Suey reads it, breaks it back inside, gets the touchdown, and we've got a tied football game and a different football team playing it for the Bears. And now Darryl Rogers' job is to get his players back in gear. They've been playing emotionally all night long.
And now the game has totally been turned upside down. Lions were leading 13-3. Crowd was going wild. Defense was playing with abandon. And now all of a sudden, the Bears getting the field goal on an aborted drive, and Ditka blowing his top. And then this beautiful Chicago drive.
And a typical Bear drive. You get a big one out of Walter Payton somewhere. He had one, 14, 15 yards in there to make a difference. You're back to the basics. You don't look pretty, but Mike Ditka never cared about looking pretty to begin with.
That's the other side of Ditka, too. As you look at the numbers there, you saw him screaming and carrying on and bringing him to another level, but there he was, patting the guys, saying, good job, good job.
I said earlier, that's what football players, everybody like that about somebody. First of all, they respect this Hall of Famer, but they know it's not going to last tomorrow.
Fuller kicks off. Hunter takes it 2 yards in. And runs into a gang out at about the 17-yard line. And so now we'll see about Long and the Lions with 5:38 to go in the 4th period.
And you get the feeling what has happened to the Bears is also going to be carried over to the defense. Chuck Long is going to see a lot of movement in this next series. He's going to see some blitzing. And, of course, as the game is played out, Darryl Rogers is well aware of that. He's been around long enough to know what to expect from this defense. So far, his young quarterback has played not a great game. He's played a good game. He's survived, and he's showed a lot of promise.
1st and 10, Detroit from the 16-yard line. Bland back in the game and apparently healthy again in motion. And James, and there's the Bear defense. And a little kick action there from Perry as well.
They called him once on that.
Didn't appear to be intentional, but that doesn't mean it hurts any less.
He has a foot to go with the body. Must be about a 23. William Perry not getting the attention that he got last year. And as Al mentioned earlier, only one carry thus far this year.
Second down, 9 from the 18.
This is when they like to come.
Here they come, and there he goes. Gary Fensick on the safety blitz.
Harrison once, and now it's Fensick.
And just when I suspect the rest of the NFC playoff teams were beginning to feel good about the Bears, the way they looked in the third, the real Bears show up here in the fourth.
And just not enough folks. It's not helter-skelter. It's much more pattern than it was a year ago under Buddy Ryan, whom these players still are so very fond of, these defensive players. They are proud that they've been able to play a different defense under Vince Tobin, the defensive coordinator. And you won't find anything bad said out there about Buddy Ryan.
Todd Bell and Sean Gale come in, 6 defensive backs on 3rd and 19 from the 6. Over the middle, caught at the 12-yard line, but buried right there is Pete Manley.
And look how many Bears are there.
And the Bear defense playing the way the Lion defense was about a half an hour ago. And the Bears own the game right now, even though we're tied on the scoreboard. And there is Butler's apparent salutation to his injured teammate Jim McMahon, watching in Southern California right now. High 9, a high to McMahon.
Great kick.
Arnold, boy, he's had a big night. Barnes from the 32-yard line. And back out to the 45 with 3:39 to play in the fourth.
Tells you what a little influence or a lot of influence a coach can have on a team. This is in terms of emotion.
Meanwhile,
it has been tactical also.
It's midnight, so it's Tuesday, and it's a happy birthday to William Perry, who is, what is he, 25? 20, oh, yeah, all right. If I looked at the monitor, it would be simple, right?
Jeff Chadwick's birthday is being past midnight.
1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. Flutie rolling and going for Gould, and incomplete. And Gould had beaten his man. He'd gotten behind Bruce McNorton.
Yeah, but Flutie was very busy. He had William Gay right in his face, driving him out of the pocket. Had to throw off balance. No way he could get enough on it. William Gay, 9-year veteran, good pass rusher. They, of course, lost a great one when Doug English retired last year. We talked about some of the people that they are missing. Bobby Watkins at corner has been out for most of the season. Their fine linebacker Jimmy Williams has been out 6 weeks. And they have played well over their heads tonight defensively.
2nd down and 10, Chicago from the 45-yard line. 4 to go wide left. And Payton through the middle and a gaping hole and exploited to the Lion 37-yard line.
Shaping up as another Chicago drive. Get a little one, then get a big one from Payton and keep it alive. Look at it again. Good lead block. Suey gets a block now for Payton. It was Payton who blocked for Suey on the touchdown, dragging those feet. Classical Walter Payton. Spinning off a tackle. He's so strong. And gets the first down at the 38-yard line.
15 carries for 65 yards, so he's averaging 4.3 tonight. From the 38-yard line, it's Willie Gould who gets run out of bounds at the 29-yard line. And that's a gain of about 9.
There it is again, though. It is high percentage. And he doesn't want anything else done. He feels it. I know that he feels he can win this game, and he asked from the very start of the third quarter, we can win this game physically. We don't have to be cute. We're not a cute football team. We've got a young quarterback out there who's just learning. He has possibilities, but when Flutie started to get cute, was changing things off. Ditka got hot and really got into this game.
2nd and 1 from the 29. Suey for the first down to the 25. Well, I tell you, Ditka, the more I watch Ditka, there's no question Ditka is now the most animated coach in the league. And he himself, there is no doubt that what took place on that drive, that aborted drive that ended in the field goal, that was the key. His reaction. His team sensed it, they felt it, and it's been a different team since.
He's also one of the best around, and when you go into the playoffs, emotion means so much. And this is an emotional team.
And Payton will take us down to the 2-minute warning as he gets to the 17-yard line.
And well within Kevin Butler's field goal range now on a typical Bear drive. Keep it easy, keep the high percentage passes going, the little one to Galt. Get a little bit out of Suey, then get 10 to 15 out of Walter Payton. And it is so typical Chicago Bears. 2-minute warning. The Bears have a 2nd and 3.
Kevin Butler sitting on his helmet, and maybe it will be Butler who will be brought in to win the game, or the way things look right now, Butler's next duty may be an extra point attempt, because the Bears are on the move again. 2 minutes to go in the 4th period. Game is tied at 13, and Chicago with the football. 2nd down and 3 at the 17-yard line, and it's Suey plowing to the 14 and very close to a first down. And what Chicago can do here as well is let the clock run down. We're going to get an official stoppage here of the clock for a measurement. But what the Bears optimally would like to do is put it into the end zone and take as much time off the clock as possible. So they do have 2 timeouts remaining, but chances are they won't use them except to perhaps settle for a field goal if they get to a 4th down.
Tough on Detroit. They can't stop it. They only have 2 remaining. They can stop it 1 time, but they'd also have to save 1 for any sort of late heroics that they might get after the Bears put 3 up on the board.
So 3rd and inches.
They went with the quarterback sneak before. They were successful. Flutie has been over talking with Ditka. You can bet on one thing. He's going to run what Ditka told him to run.
That's one of the benefits of having a measurement. The clock stops so you can go over to the sideline as Flutie did there. It's like getting a free partial timeout. And the clock now starting again after the measurement. We're down to a minute and a half. 3rd and inches. Flutie should have it to the 13-yard line.
That's about as high percentage as you can get.
And again, Haggerty signals time while they unpile.
Bears are really in control of this now. They get the first down. That was obvious.
First down, and the clock will start again. And there it goes.
They can just tick it off. Lions might be well advised to stop at 1 time, hoping they might get a turnover. Might be able to strip the ball, and then have the 1 remaining timeout left if they could move it down the field to go for the field goal. But they're letting it tick off.
Detroit will probably have to stop it, as it figures to be Payton or Suey through the middle, and then Butler to win the game from the 14-yard line. That's Payton through the middle, and all he wants to do is hold on to the football. Now the Lions have to think about stopping the clock, and they do. They have to take their timeout, or at least one of them here. And again, they spent 1 earlier, so they're down to 1.
Kevin Butler over there, cheering the offensive teammates along. Get it in a little closer, guys, a little closer. He would hate to miss one from in here.
You know, when you think about Bears MVPs this year, Butler's field goals have been the margin of victory against Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. They won 3 of those games 13-10, the other 12-10, and they're on the verge of a 16-13 victory.
Another interesting little maneuver there. That's kind of cool and calm. About a 8 on a style point basis. He had missed 3 in a row before the 42-yard winner earlier this year. He had a 52-yarder against Green Bay. That's when he beat Pittsburgh in overtime with that 42-yarder.
How does Pete Rozelle feel about foot bands?
Pardon?
High 9.
High 9. No question that Jim McMahon is really one of the remaining members of this team, even though he's been injured and out of it. They're so fond of him. He made such a difference every time he was able to perform. And I think, one and all, it can only be hopeful that he makes a perfect recovery from that shoulder operation. This game needs colorful people like Jim McMahon.
2nd and 6 at the 10. And again, it is Payton through the middle. He gains 2. And now the Lions will have to stop the clock again if they so desire. And they do, and Detroit has to take the timeout once more. And there is Tom Zach, who played only one series tonight and came out. Meanwhile, the clock has been stopped with 38 seconds. Upcoming is a 3rd and 5. So Flutie goes over, and I guess if you're Ditka here, you run one more play in, and then you let the clock run down, and you bring Butler out, and you go home.
That you hope you do.
Again, a severely bruised right leg for Tom Zach. X-rays were negative.
It's a strange game. There has been not any terribly thrilling plays, nothing big. It's been mostly a hard-hitting defensive game on the part of both teams. But it's been so interesting in watching the character and the personality of this man, Mike Ditka, manifest itself and carry itself right through this entire team, and not just the offense. The defense went out there after he had chewed up the offense pretty good, and they played different football.
If you don't know Ditka, it's not that he's a madman, and it's not that an outburst like that was contrived. I mean, he's a very intelligent guy, but he sort of picks his spots. If you're a coach and you're animated and you go crazy too much, it will have no effect. But he was pretty calm all night, and then he went wild at just the right time, and boy, did it pay off. 3rd and 5 at the 8. Payton through the middle, and he gets to about the 5-yard line, and now they'll bring on Butler to try to win the game.
First they'll tick it down, and Butler has basically the little chip shot.
And Detroit cannot stop the clock, so Ditka and the gang will just let it run down to a couple of seconds. Flutie is right there with the official and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to call timeout, but only at this point. So you stay with me, Pat, and we'll watch the clock together and give me the tee.
Got it down to 4 seconds. Out comes Butler. And the Bears should, unless something extra dramatic happens, go down to play Dallas next week, and they will have known what has happened with the Giants in Green Bay, and should something happen there, like Green Bay beating the Giants, the Bears could take Dallas, and then they would have the home field advantage. They're not counting on that very much, I can tell you that.
So the Bears on the verge of going 13-2. Section. Fuller holding. Snap good. Placement good. Kick good.
Game history.
Yep. Victory. Chicago having that kind of a season. 13-10, 12-10, 16-13. But the big numbers right now are 13-2.
Not a bad-looking debut by Chuck Long, the rookie quarterback. And for Doug Flutie, now it does look like he will be the man for the Bears in the playoffs. And there is Chuck Long, his first professional start, the great All-American from Iowa. And he is going to be the long-term history of quarterback, one would suspect, with Detroit.
Well, we can tell you ABC's NFL Monday Night Football has been produced by Ken Wolf and our director, Chet Forty. Our technical director, Joe Chavo. Associate director, Rob Biner. Bill Freeberger, our technical manager. Bob Simon, our unit manager. Lee Kolinsky, our telecommunications manager. Chaz Wiseman and Bruce Clark, assistants to the producers. Steve Hurt, research and information. Malibu, Kelly Hayes, George Hill up here. In the booth, Al Michaels and Frank Gifford saying good night from Pontiac, Michigan. Final score 16-13 Bears. This